Chapter 130. Su-Yun's eyes were in a mess. He suddenly thought of something and quickly removed the heavenly scale divine eye from his eyes and hid it in his storage ring. Then, he walked a few steps forward and sat cross-legged on the bed. He assumed a meditative posture. Do. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Su-Yun! Su-Yun! Open the door! Open the door! The great clan elder is here. Come out and greet us. The outer sect deacon's old and cunning voice came out. Su-Yun opened his eyes, got off the bed, and opened the door. Hey, why are you so slow? If you neglect the great clan elder, you'll be in trouble. The outer sect deacon stared at him and snorted. He arrogantly said. Then he turned and bowed to the great clan elder and smiled. Great clan elder, this is Su-Yun. Behind him, the great clan elder and the elites of the Su family stood. The great clan elder stared at him sternly. He looked around and then entered the house. He looked around the house. Su-Yun pretended to be confused, but his heart was tense. One of his hands secretly touched the storage ring. If the situation was not right, he had to strike first. Su-Yun. Just then, the great clan elder suddenly called out. Su-Yun cupped his fists. What orders does the great clan elder have? The great clan elder turned and stared at him. Did you go out tonight? Why does the great clan elder say that? Tonight, Su-Yun has been cultivating here and did not go out. Su-Yun was confused and asked, Great clan elder, what happened? The great clan elder did not reply. His eyes glimmered as he looked at Su-Yun from head to toe. Finally, he shook his head and turned to leave. AI, great clan elder. The outer sect deacon was confused and quickly followed. Just like that, he left without a sound. Su-Yun did not understand but cupped his fists again. Great clan elder, take care. A group of people scattered out of the small house. Seeing that they were far away, Su-Yun heaved a sigh of relief. With the limitless sword manual suppressing the heavenly crystal and sprite shadow, the great clan elder would not be able to sense it. Luckily, he managed to remove the heavenly scale divine eye in time. If the great clan elder was unable to detect his chi, he would definitely be suspicious. His current performance was the most appropriate. He probably would not suspect that he had the ability to attack Su-Yun at night. After the great clan elder and the rest left, Su-Yun closed the door and continued to cultivate. After about 4 hours, the clamor of the outer sect gradually calmed down. Su-Yun ignored them. He did not leave any evidence behind. He believed that they would not suspect him. But the only thing he was worried about was that the Su family would suspect Limitless Sword God's identity. Why would Limitless suddenly appear in the Su family? Why did he attack Su-Yun? In the end, the Su family would probably link the Su family disciples to Limitless Sword God. Furthermore, when they were retrieving the sprite's shadow, the lady had said that there were already 2 people who had infiltrated the Su family to search for Wuji's whereabouts. Tonight's incident would only make them more certain that Wuji was in the Su family. There would be endless troubles in the future, so he had to leave the Su family as soon as possible. On the second day, Su-Yun went to practice the hurricane sword technique as usual. Of course, before practicing, he first used the heavenly scale divine eye to check if there were any surveillance. If there were surveillance from the main house or other people, he could only change locations. The ruthless sword chi rippled out. Su-Yun brandished the 1,000-deep sword, and the sharp chi swirled around his body. He was still not familiar with the hurricane sword technique. Using the Limitless Sword Manual's Imperial Sword Technique to display the hurricane sword technique, the power was not strong. Su-Yun could only use his hands to control it. First, he constructed the trajectory of the profound spirit chi. He stabilized his body and released his chi. The pure divine spirit chi began to arrange around his body. Crisscrossing, messy, and complicated. Rascal, the hurricane sword technique is formless and formless. It is like the wind and cannot be caught. Don't fix the pattern. The arrangement of the chi trajectory is based on the enemy's weakness. Don't think that the hurricane sword technique has a wide range and doesn't need to capture the weakness. That is extremely stupid. The Limitless Sword Sect's sword techniques emphasize on attacking with all your strength. Even if your opponent is much weaker than you cannot relax at all. The Sword Elder began to explain. Firstly, the arrangement of the Hurricane Sword Technique's chi trajectory is based on the enemy you are facing. It is not a random arrangement. Your enemy's height, the position of the heart, the position of the head, and the position of the lower body. You have to accurately grasp all of them and quickly arrange the chi trajectory. Then, use the sword to advance according to the trajectory. Su Yun heard and nodded his head seriously. His eyes focused and started arranging. An imaginary enemy appeared in his mind. It was the Blood Soul Master. He stared at the imaginary body of the Blood Soul Master and raised his hand. All the pores on his body released a fierce, pure, divine spirit chi. His spirit essence opened wide, and his chi channels started to revolve crazily. In a few breaths, the trajectory was formed, and all of them were aimed at the vital points of the Blood Soul Master. Too slow. Too slow. The Sword Elder said indifferently. Powerful people can be created with just a thought. You're too slow. Su Yun was not satisfied. He removed the chi trajectory and started arranging again. Too slow. Remove, set again. Still too slow. Remove, set again. Rascal, can you do it or not? Remove, set again. Maybe I shouldn't have passed this sword technique to you. Your current strength might not be enough. Remove, set again. This continued until the sun gradually set. Su Yun was sweating profusely and gasping for breath. He had used up more than half of his profound spirit chi. The speed at which he arranged the chi trajectory had increased by a lot, but he still needed a breath's time. All right, if you can persevere, setting up chi might not be difficult. But you have to understand, why is the speed of setting up chi so demanding? That's because in a battle, the enemy is constantly moving and your chi has to follow. If you set up chi too slowly, you will not be able to keep up with the enemy's rhythm. Then, this sword technique would be useless. Do you understand? Senior's teachings are correct. Su Yun gasped for breath, wiped the sweat off his forehead, and said, Su Yun understands. Let's stop here for today. Go and cultivate your chi. After that, the Sword Elder returned to the Limitless Sword Manual. Su Yun took out 3 chi-returning pills from his storage ring and swallowed them. Then, he sat cross-legged and meditated for half an hour. After digesting the chi-returning pills, he got up and went back to his house. Back in his house, he began to adjust his Spirit Lord chi to warm up his entire body. There were many ways to cultivate chi. One was to constantly use it in battle, forcing the spirit essences to produce profound spirit chi. His chi channels would be filled with profound spirit chi and become thicker and tougher. This was considered to be a martial cultivator. Because it was too difficult, there were not many people who used it. The other way was to use pills to adjust the circulation of profound spirit chi. This was considered to be a literary cultivator. Among the current spirit cultivators, there were many who used this method. Then, they would use mystical techniques to increase their strength. Su Yun was not afraid of hardships. In fact, when he was cultivating mystical techniques, he would use the method of cultivating spirit chi to cultivate. When he was tired, he would use the method of cultivating spirit chi to cultivate. Alternating between cultivation, he did not slack off for even a moment. With the support of the everlasting stone, his talent was 7 times higher than the average person. Coupled with the fact that he was several times more hardworking than the average person, how could his cultivation increase so slowly? Tonight, Su Yun did not dare to go overboard. After all, he still had something to confirm. Sitting cross-legged to cultivate, unknowingly, it was nearing midnight. Su Yun opened his eyes and took a deep breath. Looking at the moonlight outside the house, he stood up and walked out. There were a few guards from the inner sect patrolling outside. The Su family had encountered such incidents time and time again, so the security had been strengthened. Furthermore, the main door was closed at night, so it was difficult to leave the Su family. He looked left and right, using the heavenly scale divine eye to size up the Su family's defensive forces. He found a gap and directly escaped out of the Su family, heading towards the nameless hill outside the Su family. Nearing the hill, he looked around and sat down to wait. The moonlight shone on his pale, white face. Along with the silent hill, everything seemed extremely strange. He did not know if Su Yuron would come. He could only say that he was trying his luck. If she came, it meant that she did not suspect that he was limitless sword god. If she did not come, it meant that her injuries were too severe and he had to change his plans. Or she had already started to suspect him. No matter what the situation was, he had to make a move as soon as possible to prevent any accidents from happening. Ding-ling. Just at this time, a series of bells rang. Suyun looked up and saw a few skinny, slightly yellow-faced ladies walking beside a luxurious carriage. The carriage was pulled by a purple-horned beast. Around the carriage, there were wind chimes. It was very beautiful, and behind the curtain of the carriage, a lady could be faintly seen lying down. As expected, they came. Suyun heaved a sigh of relief. His mouth curled into a sinister smile. He stood up and walked over. The carriage stopped. The purple-horned beast let out a low growl. A lady dressed in gray walked over quickly. She lifted the curtain of wind chimes. Inside, Suyurong was heavily injured. Her face was pale and sallow. Suyurong appeared in front of Suyun. Seeing Suyun walking over, Suyurong's face flashed a look of shock. Her face darkened and she shouted, "Suyun, I came as promised. Where are they? Why are you alone?" They didn't come. The sinister smile on Suyun's face became wider. He walked toward the carriage step by step. His hands slowly touched the storage ring. "You dare lie to me?" Suyurong was enraged. "Don't think that just because I'm injured, I don't have the ability to kill you." "Kill you? I could do it easily." With that said, the servants on the left and right rushed forward and surrounded Suyun. But at this moment, Suyun suddenly took out two swords from his storage ring. Thousand Deep Sword that was showing off its abilities. The pitch-black sinister death sword. The two swords appeared. With a wave of Suyun's arm, they flew out and pierced toward Suyurong. Seeing that, Suyurong's face turned pale white. Her eyes widened. Her heart stopped beating. Her mind was blank. You're limitless?" Suyurong asked. So the sword tip flew forward. Without waiting for Suyurong to defend, it pierced through her chest. Fresh blood splattered all over the carriage. Suyurong's body twitched. Before she could say anything, she died. The servants were stunned. One by one, they looked at the dead Suyurong. Suddenly, their faces were filled with pitch-black chi. Then, as though they had gone mad, they started to attack Suyun. Suyun kept his swords. He was not courteous. He started to fight with the ladies who were completely conquered by Suyurong. The ladies were drained of a large amount of chi by Suyurong. They were extremely haggard. If it was Suyun who was only at the 6th stage of the Spirit Intermediate Disciple realm, it would be easy. But if it was Limitless Sword Manual, it would be impossible. Adding on Suyun's sneak attack and killing Suyurong, they were no match for him. Very quickly, the servants all fell. Chapter 131. On the second day, the news of Suyurong's murder spread throughout the entire Su family and shocked the entire Su family. The great clan elder was extremely angry. He summoned everyone in the Su family to the main house and investigated them one by one. The Su family entered a second-level state of alert. Even the patriarch was alarmed. A large number of guards from the main house and the inner sect searched the 3 houses of the Su family. The Su family was sealed for a full 10 days. Everyone was nervous. But this nervous and strange operation continued for a full 10 days, and it was still hard to find the real murderer of Suyurong. The great clan elder had no choice but to give up. Suyun heaved a sigh of relief. But just when everyone thought that this matter was over, a strange phenomenon that made everyone's heart beat wildly happened again. Suyurong's corpse disappeared. When the great clan elder, who washed his face with tears every day, heard the news, he destroyed a house on the spot. He cried out to the heavens. Although Suyurong's actions were improper in the past and caused him a lot of trouble, blood was still thicker than water. How could family be so easily separated? Countless people were curious. Everything was fine. Why did Suyurong's corpse disappear? Suyun's heart was filled with suspicions. Because of this, he specially snuck into the inner sect and searched Suyurong's embroidered pavilion. Suyurong's harvesting technique was a demonic technique. He did not know how she obtained it. Forget it, Let's not think about it anymore. After experiencing this matter with Su Yu Rong, Su Yun wanted to leave the Su family even more. After the storm ended, he trained with all his might. Every day, after buying ingredients, he would concoct a pot of pills. Then, he would go out to train the hurricane sword technique and the limitless sword manual. When the sun was setting, he would return to the small house and consume pills to train his chi. Once he started training, he did not have any intention of stopping. Circulating chi could nourish the spirit, soothe the nerves and tendons. It had the same effect as sleeping. As for food, he ate very little. He mostly used pills to fill his stomach. There were many impurities in the food, which would accidentally enter the chi channels and form a deposit. This would cause a certain obstruction to the movement of the chi channels. Of course, this situation did not happen often. If it was to satisfy his appetite, then it was not a problem. It was just that Su Yun ate a lot of them every time, so he had to use up an entire bottle of them. If he had the ingredients in the future, he could go to Blossom Heart Valley to refine a pot of fragrant, immortal miraculous pills. Not only was the pill fragrant, it was also extremely delicious. It was considered a celestial item in the mortal world. However, the refining method of the immortal miraculous pill was extremely unique. Currently, only the Pill King knew how to refine it. However, the Pill King was constantly researching new medicinal herbs every day. How would he have the time to refine something that could satisfy his appetite? Even though there were nobles who personally paid a visit every day and spent a large sum of money to obtain this immortal pill, they still returned empty-handed. As the days continued, the stormy wind sword technique became more and more refined. However, the unique chi trajectory was still difficult to achieve what the Sword Elder had said. This made Su Yun a little frustrated. In the forest, his pure divine spirit chi fluctuated. A large number of translucent white trails appeared around Su Yun. Storm Sword Art. Su Yun anxiously swung the 1,000-deep sword in his hand and danced along the trajectory. Under the guidance of the pure divine spirit chi, the speed at which the sword danced was 10 times faster than usual. It was hard to catch with the naked eye. Su Yun could only see a large number of sword images revolving around him, and his body was constantly rotating. The pure divine spirit chi that erupted from the sword was like a whirlwind that cut through the surroundings. Sand and stones flew everywhere, leaves flew everywhere, and the power of the turbulence seemed to have flattened the entire forest. Suddenly, Su Yun loosened his hand. All the chi channels and spirit essences in his body opened up. All the profound spirit chi in his body spewed out, and quickly followed his thoughts to construct a chi trajectory in the air. They crisscrossed, messy and complicated. Like a spider web, they spread everywhere and slowly spread outwards. The 1,000-deep sword that flew out followed the trajectory of the chi in a flash and spun faster and faster. It was like a huge tornado with Su Yun as the epicenter. So a strong wind rose. The divine sword soared into the sky, as if it could kill a god. In a vault of heaven, it dispersed the thick, pure divine spirit chi that was revolving around the sword. After that, it spun around in the air, swayed, and landed lightly in Su Yun's hands. Kacha! 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 The surrounding trees and boulders were all broken into pieces. Every single tree and boulder was evenly broken. The air was still filled with pure divine spirit chi that could not be dispersed. The storm sword technique is very pure. At this time, the Sword Elder's praise came out, but the arrangement of the chi trajectory is still very slow. Su Yun gazed at the 1,000-deep sword in his hands and could not help but clench his fists. He took a deep breath, raised his sword, and once again released his pure divine spirit chi, arranging the chi trajectory. If it was too slow, he would remove it, set it up again, remove it, and set it up again. Only when the pure divine spirit chi in his body was exhausted did he stop to rest. Seeing this, the Sword Elder was silent. Maybe you can try another method of training. The Sword Elder opened his mouth. Su Yun, who was lying on the ground, panting and wiping his perspiration, raised his head and asked, "Another method?" "Yes, another method," Su Yun anxiously said. "Senior, please enlighten me. It's not a brilliant method. It's actually very simple. You go and fight." "Fight? Don't tell me it's a fight. Use the storm sword technique to fight?" "Yes." The sword elder laughed. "This arrangement of chi, you should have already reached a bottleneck. If you continue to train, it will be very difficult to step into the last step and enter the state of one thought takes shape. So, you can only use real combat to force yourself. When people encounter danger, they can often force out their own potential. Now, you have to force out your last bit of potential and reach the state of one thought takes shape. Fight. Through fighting to train? Su Yun whispered. Your current fighting experience is actually not high. When people fight with others, the experience you gain is many times more than when you train hard, especially when it's a life and death battle. The sword elder said seriously. Su Yun settled his heart. His eyeballs swayed left and right. He suddenly stood up and nodded. I understand what to do. With that, he turned around and walked towards the hut. There was still some time before the meeting of heroes started. All the disciples who were chosen to represent the Su family in the competition were desperately training. If they could be in the limelight at the meeting of heroes, not only would they be able to gain a lot of benefits from the Su family, they would also be able to gain a reputation in the various big sections. The benefits were endless. And the most important thing was the rare treasures provided by the mysterious sect. The seated participants of the Su family were training hard day and night. No one would be lazy at this time. And Qing Air, who was in the main house, was the same. On the martial arts field, a young lady was holding onto a light sword as she soared in the air. Her body was surrounded by a sharp and cold, swift wind spirit chi. Wherever she passed, the sword chi would fly. The ground would be bombarded with many sword marks. The sword marks would appear silently. It was extremely terrifying. Upon seeing this, the middle-aged man who was standing at the side nodded his head. Very good. Qing Air, you have completely grasped this set of wild leaf sword technique. This sword technique is a high-level mystical technique. It is extremely difficult for ordinary people to grasp it. Yet, you were able to master it in such a short period of time. It is truly commendable. The middle-aged man praised expressionlessly. Thank you, Patriarch. Qing Air stopped in her tracks and gasped for breath. The meeting of heroes is coming soon. This is a test for you. Come back with the first place. Rest for a while and continue training later. With that, he had already left the martial arts field. Qing Air, who was gasping for breath, nodded her head. Her delicate face that was covered in sweat was filled with bitterness. I wonder how young Master is now. Is he all right? She looked at the sword in her hand that was still gently humming. After a long time, she sighed. In fact, her heart was already tired. Half a day later, Su Yun, who was riding on the spirit stallion, rushed into the Mirror Lake town. Upon entering the Mirror Lake town, he went straight to the wanted list. Wanted list. Every region set up a list of the most vicious and evil spirit cultivators. The list was mostly set up by the various sects and city lords. It was arranged according to the crimes committed by the most vicious and evil spirit cultivators in the region. The higher the list, the more crimes they committed. Not only would the list introduce the basic information of the wanted target, it would also set up a large amount of spirit coins. As long as one succeeded in capturing or killing the person on the wanted list, he would be able to receive the spirit coins set up by the wanted list. Many spirit cultivators, in order to raise spirit coins for cultivation, took over the wanted list. Some successfully earned spirit coins, while some lost their lives. Every day, there would be a large number of wanted hunters looking at the wanted list. If there was a soft persimmon, they would fight to be the first to snatch it. Generally, a wanted target could only be taken over by one wanted hunter. After all, the bounty was only one sum. Of course, if a few wanted hunters could negotiate, they could work together to kill a wanted target and split the spirit coins equally. Suyin walked over. At this moment, there was a sea of people in front of the wanted list. They formed a circle and surrounded the list. He squeezed through the crowd and came to the front of the list. Julian District's wanted list, first place, Zhangcha Exen, nicknamed Piercing Heart Taoist, 1 million spirit coins, strength unknown, mystical techniques unknown, treasure unknown, current location unknown. One at time, unlimited. Recipient, none, available. Rank 2, Skeleton General, 800,000 spirit coins, strength, unknown, magic treasure demon horde dance, Shin skill, unknown, current location. Black Corpse Bone Mountain, hunting time. 1 year, collector. None, available third place. Chungu Hao, 500,000 spirit coins, strength, spirit soul disciple, treasure unknown, mystical technique, world extinguishing blood song. Current location, Moon Ridge, first generation. One at time, 8 months. Recipient, yes, not available. Fourth place, Hungry Wolf King, 300,000 spirit coins, strength, spirit soul disciple, treasure unknown, mystical techniques unknown, current location, Grass Cage Plains. One at time, 3 months. Recipient, none, available. Fifth place, Tong Shui, nicknamed Yin Sword, 150,000 spirit coins, strength, 5th stage spirit core disciple, mystical technique, sinister cold sword, treasure Tong, Yin Blade. Current location, Immortal Sword Mountain. One at time, 1 month. Recipient, none, available. The list provided the number of spirit coins, the target's basic strength, and other people provided the approximate location of the target. Suyin glanced at it, and his heart skipped a beat. He never thought that Chungu Hao would actually have someone who wanted to kill him. He did not know how strong the person was. The top 5 people on the list were all experts who had killed countless people, and this was only the list for the Julian district. Maybe after a few years, there would be another batch. Every district had a different list, and the Julian district's list was actually one of the weaker ones. Hey, did you guys hear? Last time, there were a few people who actually wanted to kill Hungry Wolf King and ran to the Grass Cage Plains. In the end, they found out that Hungry Wolf King was actually refining wolf cubs. Those few people were immediately surrounded by thousands of wolf cubs and became food for the wolves. That's nothing. I even heard that there was a spirit soul disciple who went to look for the Skeleton General. The Skeleton General had done many evil deeds and would often refine spirit cultivators into his zombie soldiers. He did not expect that the spirit soul cultivator would actually be captured by him, and his consciousness would be erased, and he would become his zombie soldier. The last time someone challenged him, I saw that spirit soul disciple brat. TSK, TSK, TSK. So pitiful, a living person became like that. I hope that all these people die. How did the spirit cultivation world come up with such evil people? The people surrounding the list were all discussing. Su Yun's gaze swept across the list of names and finally confirmed his target. He extended his hand and picked up the 5th name on the list, Yin Sword Tong Shui, and plucked it off. Are you sure you want to receive the 5th wanted target? Yin Sword Tong Shui's wanted list? At this time, the person in charge of the list stared at Su Yun and asked loudly. Everyone was startled, and all looked at him. I'm sure, Su Yun said expressionlessly. Chapter 132. The night was dark. The moon was shrouded by clouds, and there was not much light on the ground, making it look extremely dim. Dong family. It was the most famous family in the Sword Mountain town. The Dong family made a living by running a cloth business. They were kind and friendly, and were of one heart and one mind with the people in the town. They would often open their warehouses to help the people who were in trouble, and even some of the spirit cultivators who were down and out received favors from them. In the entire town, the Dong family's reputation and influence surpassed even the mayor. But today, the Dong family was met with an unexpected calamity. After entering the gate, the ground was littered with the corpses of the family guards. Blood flowed all over the ground, and one could faintly hear the screams of panic coming from the Dong family mansion. A thick stench of blood pervaded the air, and under the dim moonlight, it was extremely strange. Don't come over! Don't come over! The woman's terrified voice came out. Madam! The heavily injured young master of the Dong family screamed weakly as he fell to the ground. He widened his eyes and looked at the man with the dark red sword in pain and indignation. He cried out in despair. What do you want? We can give you anything you want. Please let us go. Money. You can take it. You can also take the treasures. Please let us go. It was a man with dark red hair combed back, and his face was full of haze. He wore a blood-red leather armor, and there was a large ruby embedded on his belt. He smiled sinisterly, staring at the woman who was trembling and retreating to the corner of the wall. There was no more room for her to retreat, and a proud and fanatical smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I only want your life. My sword wants to drink some human blood. Hee. Wait till I enjoy your wife. Then I will send you on your way. With that said, the man suddenly moved and landed in front of the woman. The woman did not even have time to react and was grabbed by the man. Chila. The woman's light yellow dress was immediately torn to shreds, and large chunks of white skin were revealed. The woman's face was extremely pale, and looking at her husband's eyes of despair, the fear in her eyes dimmed down. To be humiliated in front of the person you love the most. Is there anything more painful than this? She clenched her teeth and seemed to have made up her mind. Suddenly, her body moved, and her neck struck the blood sword in the man's hand. Just that. The man's reaction was beyond her imagination. With a wave of the blood sword, the woman missed and fell to the ground. Mom. The man lying on the ground had tears in his eyes. He tried his best to get up, but he couldn't even support his body. You want to die? The man with the blood sword grabbed the woman's long hair and looked at her tear-stained face. The smile on his face became even wider. Why didn't you choose a better way to die? Hee. Isn't it better to die under my crotch? Bastard. The man screamed in extreme pain. He wriggled his body, wanting to come over and stop it. But at this moment, whether or not he could survive was a problem. We won't let you off, even if we become ghosts. The woman stopped crying. She stared at the man and cursed in pain. Ghost? When a man heard this, he laughed out loud. I'll even kill ghosts. With that, he let go of the blood sword and pressed the woman to the ground. He was about to press her down. Stop, you bastard! A mournful howl rang out. It was especially loud in the silent night sky, and the neighbors in the surrounding area were alarmed. Plop! Just at this time, a strange sound came out from outside. Then, light footsteps came into the house. The footsteps were slow but steady. The hissing sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Huh? The man who was pressing down on the woman stood up and looked out of the house suspiciously. He saw a man wearing a broken iron mask and a pitch-black Blade Master outfit. He was tall and had a sharp face. He walked in with a sword sheath. The man extended his hands out. One hand pulled out the pitch-black sword from his back. The other hand reached into the sword sheath and took out a sharp sword. He walked towards the man. Are you Een sword Tong Shui? The man said as he released his chi. Killing intent seeped out. This chi was like swift wind chi, but it was much faster and sharper than swift wind chi. Tong Shui's face congealed. He secretly analyzed the man's chi. He wanted to judge the man's strength, but he realized that he could not see through the man's chi. Who are you? Tong Shui made a grabbing motion, and the blood sword named Tong Een Blade automatically flew into his hand. With a puzzled expression, he asked, but a moment later, he suddenly grinned. You can't be a hunter, right? Ha! Bugs like you're always bothering me. Don't you know how to write the word death? Death? The man raised the pitch-black sword in his hand. His eyes flashed with a murderous look. Suddenly, his body moved and he rushed forward. The sharp chi was like a sudden gust of wind, blowing towards Tong Shui. The pitch-black death sword flew out, spinning chaotically in the air. Thousand Deep Sword was held in his palm, spinning like a flower, swinging towards Tong Shui. Huh? Tong Shui saw the black sword flying around in the air like a headless fly. His pupils constricted. He immediately knew who the man was. Your limitless sword god? But just as he said that, Thousand Deep Sword came crashing over with a thick humming sound. Tong Een Blade was raised. Dang! Both swords clashed and ripples exploded. Tong Shui felt as though his weapon was being pressed by a huge mountain. An astonishing, true, divine spirit chi rippled out. The ground beneath his feet cracked, and a terrifying sword chi surged. True divine spirit chi. This man was using a sword. How could he have true divine spirit chi? What was the attribute of his chi? Tong Shue's eyes congealed. Just then, the death sword that was dancing in the air circled around his back and pierced towards him. Don't look down on me. Tong Shue's face was sinister. He waved his arm, and a huge amount of blood mist burst out from his back. The death sword attacked. The blood mist was like a shield and blocked the death sword scabbard. Tong Shui then used his strength to push Thousand Deep Sword away. But this man's strength did not decrease. Thousand Deep Sword retracted a little and then pressed down again. Bang! The ground beneath Tong Shue's feet exploded. The strong force caused his entire body to go numb. He already knew that this man was not simple. If he held back, he would definitely die here. Immediately, Tong Shui clenched his teeth and used all his strength. Tong Yin blade shone with a red light. Suddenly, a huge amount of sinister and terrifying blood hands appeared from the sword blade and grabbed towards Thousand Deep Sword. That man hurriedly threw Thousand Deep Sword, but the blood hands were not weak either. They did not allow him to escape. Tong Shui saw this, and his eyes revealed an ominous glint. He laughed. Let's see how you escape this time? Ha 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 ha. With that, Tong Shui raised his left hand and slashed towards that man. Slashing without a sword? What was going on? Could it be that he was relying on his flesh and blood to attack? Just then, a strange phenomenon occurred. Tong Shui's right hand held onto Tong Yin blade. But when his left hand waved, the Tong Yin blade in his right hand disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already on his left hand. That man's eyes constricted. This sword could actually teleport in an instant. Die. Limitless sword god. Ha ha ha. Tong Shui laughed maniacally as his blade fell. Boundless killing intent and dense chi of blood surged. It was as though he was thrown into a whirlpool and could not escape. Now was the time. That man's eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. His left hand moved, and all the pores on his body shot out. Large amounts of pure divine spirit chi flew out and formed a large amount of chi in an instant. Brain, heart, lower body, heaven's gate. Large amounts of vital points were pierced by countless chi trails. So, the tightly held Thousand Deep Sword flew out in a flash. In the time it takes for a spark to fly, it shuttled between the chi trails, poochie, 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 poochie. The horrifying sound of bones breaking could be heard. Tong Shui froze in his movements. His entire body was petrified. It was an instant kill. The man on the other side was stunned. They could not catch the speed of the man's sword. They could only see that Tong Shui was surrounded by countless sword images. Then the sword images dissipated. Everything was like lightning. It came fast and left fast. What was left was the trembling sound of the sword. And that sinister Tong Yin blade was almost at the neck of the masked man. In another moment, his neck would be cut open. So. The two flying swords circled around Tong Shui for a few rounds. Then, it went straight for his head. Chi. Tong Shui's head was cut off. Fresh blood spurted into the sky. That man gently moved the Tong Yin blade beside him. He grabbed Tong Shui's head and wrapped it with a white cloth that he had prepared. Dong! Tong Shui's body fell to the ground. Fresh blood flowed all over the ground. Upon closer inspection, he realized that his body had been pierced by hundreds of swords. Hundreds of holes appeared on his brain, heart, and other vital points. He looked sinister and died a miserable death. Keeping his sword, he held his head. That man picked up Tong Shui's Tong Yin blade and glanced at it. Seeing that the blade was already dim, he shook his head and turned to leave. The number 5 evil man, Tong Shui, was beheaded just like that. Benefactor. At this moment, an anxious voice with a strong sobbing tone sounded from the other side. The iron-masked man turned around and looked at the source of the voice. He saw a lady with her upper body naked running over. She knelt on the ground and cried, "Thank you, Benefactor, for beheading this evil man and saving my Dong family. I beg Benefactor to show mercy and save my husband. My husband was heavily injured by the evil man and his life is in danger. If he is not treated, he will definitely die. I am willing to do anything for Benefactor. Please do me a favor and save my husband." The lady cried in grief. Then she continuously kowtowed to the iron-masked man. Her head was almost broken. He raised his eyes and looked at the pale-faced man who was lying on the ground with a pool of blood. The man was almost unconscious. He pursed his lips and thought for a while. Then he took out an elixir from his storage ring and threw it on the ground. Then he waved his arm and his sword flew out. He leaped up and stepped on the flying sword. Then he flew out and disappeared into the horizon. Seeing that, the lady anxiously kowtowed a few more times and thanked him profusely. Then she immediately picked up the elixir and ran to the dying young master of the Dong family to consume it. When the elixir entered his stomach, it quickly dissolved and digested. The effects of the elixir spread throughout his body. It nourished his wounds and cleared the profound spirit qi in his body. The young master's complexion became better. The blood flowing from his body also stopped. Such a miraculous elixir. That benefactor must be an almighty being. The young master of the Dong family slowly opened his eyes and said weakly, "Husband, you're fine." That's great. God must know that our Dong family has been doing good deeds. That's why he sent our benefactor to help us. That must be it. The lady cried. In the future, we must repay our benefactor. The young master of the Dong family held the lady's hand and said weakly, "Oh, right. What's his name?" I heard that bastard say that he's called Limitless Sword God. Chapter 133. In the vast night sky, a bright and slender flying sword was flying at a crazy speed. On the sword, a man dressed in Blade Master clothes was holding onto a bloody head. The strong wind blew his long hair and fluttered his clothes. I never thought that you would actually save that person. Brat, that was the molding flesh pill that you spent a large amount of spirit coins and 10 days to refine. You only have one pill and you gave it to him? That's not like you. The sword elder's surprised voice came out. How is that not like me? Isn't it good to save someone? Suyin said indifferently. Aren't you a demon? The sword elder was surprised. In the past, you were so ruthless and cruel. You killed people without blinking. Why did you do such a good deed today? Demon? Suyin lowered his eyebrows and shook his head. Tong Shui did all sorts of evil things. He was cruel and ruthless. He was even more demonic than what people call a demon. But he called him a human. How should I explain this? Demons are not cold-blooded and cruel existences. They all have their own persistence and their own bottom line. Towards their enemies, they are cruel and ruthless. They do not care about anything. But towards their loved ones, they will do their best to protect them. I am not bloodthirsty, but sometimes I have to kill. With that, Su Yin rushed forward quickly. The sword elder did not speak. After a while, he suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was very profound. The Dong family small town was not far from Mirror Lake Town. Before the sun rose, Su Yin had already reached Mirror Lake Town. Previously, Tong Shui's weapon Tong Yin blade was a treasure, but it was a treasure that belonged to Tong Shui. It was connected to Tong Shui's life. Once Tong Shui died, the Tong Yin blade became an ordinary weapon. Su Yin initially wanted to use it for himself, but after he understood, he gave up. Tong Shui's loss in this battle was not unjust. Although Su Yun's cultivation was lower than his by 7 stages, but in terms of techniques and treasures, he was a few levels higher. Especially at the last moment, the Stormy Wind sword technique was executed perfectly. The sword chi whistled, killing Tong Shui in an instant. He was unable to defend himself, which was why he fell into the pit. But the battle was considered to be thrilling. At the critical moment, the Stormy Wind sword technique's trajectory of chi had reached one thought in a chi and was able to smoothly execute and kill the opponent. If the trajectory of chi was as slow as usual, then the one who would have died would not be Tong Shui, but Su Yun. The Tong Yin blade would have sliced off his head in the next moment. It had to be said that a person's potential was most easily stimulated in a life and death situation. Although he had completed one thought into chi, he was still not proficient in it. It was a bit rash to challenge someone who was not a 5th stage Spirit Core disciple. If he was a 6th stage Spirit Core disciple, it would be difficult. Thousand Deep sword landed on the ground. He entered Mirror Lake Town and went straight to the wanted list. In the wee hours of the morning, the sky had not yet brightened. There were not many people in front of the wanted list, only a dozen or so. They were gathered together, discussing how to work together to take on the list of people ranked below 20. The person in charge of the wanted list at the side yawned and stood there waiting for the person to reveal the list. Suyin carried Tong Shue's head and slowly walked towards the wanted list. The snow-white canvas was already dyed red. Fresh blood flowed out of the canvas and dripped onto the ground. Hand over the list. Suyin threw the head on the ground and extended his hand to retrieve the wanted list from his storage ring. Whose head? The person in charge casually swept a glance and said indifferently, Tong Shui. Suyin took out the wanted list and said. The sound was like, and the originally silent night became even more silent. Tong Shui. The person in charge opened his eyes wide. The hunters who were discussing at the side were also stunned, and all of their gazes locked onto Su Yun's body. The person in charge seemed to be unconvinced. He used all his strength to rub his eyes. His eyeballs were wide open, as though they were about to fall out. After confirming that the wanted list was indeed released from the wanted list, he exclaimed, It's really Tong Shui? Someone had already ran over to remove the canvas covering the head. When they saw the face of the person, exclamations and screams could be heard. It was hard to stop. Money. Suyin handed over the wanted list. Oh, please wait a moment. Master, please wait a moment. The person in charge quivered and quickly said. Then, he quickly took out a bright silver key and pierced it into the wanted list. Then, he pasted Tong Shue's wanted list on it. The moment the shiny piece of paper was placed on the wanted list, the paper immediately turned into specks of starlight and dissipated. Then, a strange storage space opened up on the wanted list, and a spirit ticket flew out. The person in charge quickly picked it up and held it with both hands. He respectfully handed it over to Su Yun. Congratulations, Master. You have successfully helped Zhu Lian District to eliminate a big scourge, Tong Shui. This is Zhu Lian District's people's reward for you. It's a total of 150,000 spirit coins. Please keep it well. Su Yun nodded his head and placed the spirit ticket into his storage ring. After receiving the reward, he was not in a hurry to leave. His gaze began to sweep through the wanted list. His eyes finally locked onto the sixth name, Shi Hongdian. Shi Hongdian, nicknamed Spirit Demon Force. Rumor has it that his strength was as strange as a demon. Sometimes he was extremely strong, sometimes he was skillful. Cultivation, Spirit Core Disciple 5th Stage. Reward, 140,000 spirit coins. Treasure, unknown. Mystical technique, unknown. Current location, Pine Rock Mountain. Rumor has it that Shi Hongdian captured 17 low-level spirit cultivators and entered Pine Rock Mountain. He planned to use the hearts of these spirit cultivators to cultivate his spirit demon force. The wanted list was ranked by crimes and spirit coins. In other words, Shi Hongdian's strength might not be any lower than Tong Shue's. However, if he did not give it a try, how could he cultivate one thought in a chi? After thinking about it, Su Yun directly extended his hand and took down Shi Hongdian's wanted list. The person in charge was stunned. Master, do you want to remove this spirit demon force, Shi Hongdian? What's wrong? Su Yun did not understand. This. The person in charge laughed, then said, This spirit demon force, Shi Hongdian, has always been a loner. He is very mysterious. He rarely interacts with people. He cultivates in the deep mountains. He uses living spirit cultivators to cultivate. He is extremely cruel. Everyone has the right to kill him. It's just that the information on the wanted list is from half a year ago. No one knows where the spirit demon force Shi Hongdian is now. Half a year ago, Su Yun was stunned. In this period of time, there were a few people who accepted this task. However, there was no news from them. After the deadline, we judged them to have failed. Maybe they were not able to find Shi Hongdian. The person in charge laughed bitterly. Not able to find Shi Hongdian? He should be dead. If he was not able to find Shi Hongdian, he should have come back to answer. Hearing that, Su Yun nodded his head and pondered. The people at the side were still discussing. Their eyes were still locked on Su Yun. Could this person be the legendary Limitless Sword Lord? Seems like it. However, there are many people dressed like Limitless Sword Lord. Those are all thugs. To be able to kill Tong Shui so easily, he must be an almighty being. This person must be the Limitless Sword Lord. If we can form a relationship with him, everyone will benefit greatly. Maybe we can even go with him to kill the targets on the wanted list. We can split some spirit coins. Brotherly, aren't you thinking too much? Why would Master Limitless Sword Lord work together with us burdens? A few people were whispering, but just at this time, a voice suddenly came out from behind. If we are not able to find Shi Hongdian, I can help this master. Everyone turned to look. They saw a simple and honest-looking man coming out from nowhere. He was walking toward them step by step. He was dressed very simply. He was only wearing a gray leather armor. He did not have many treasures on him. He only had a curved blade on his waist. This man was around 30 years old. He was an 8th-stage spirit intermediate disciple. Although Su Yun was a stage lower than him, Su Yun was confident that he could easily kill him. "You're helping." The cold metal faced the simple and honest man and said, "How are you going to help?" The simple and honest man's face revealed a tinge of sadness. Then he flashed a tinge of anger and pain. He said in a low voice, "Half a month ago, my brother was captured by Shi Hongdian. So, I know where Shi Hongdian is now. His cultivation is high. I can't win against him. So, I waited here. I know my brother is definitely in danger. The only thing I can do is to wait here. If there is an almighty being that is willing to kill Shi Hongdian, I am willing to be the guide. To help the almighty being kill Shi Hongdian. To avenge my brother." Su Yun heard and nodded his head. Being good at enduring and waiting for the right opportunity to make a move is the best strategy. If you had rushed over then, I'm afraid you and your brother would be dead by now. He never thought that this simple and honest man would have such a meticulous mind. If it was him and his loved ones were captured, he would have long fought with his life on the line. Su Yun thought. The man cupped his fists, bent his waist, and made a serious bow. "Please bring me along. I will definitely help you kill Shi Hongdian. I don't want a single spirit coin. I only want to kill my enemy." The man's tone was sincere and respectful. His expression was meticulous. He did not dare to slack off at all. When the people around saw this, they could not help but be moved. The person in charge regained his senses and said, "Sir, since he knows where Shi Hongdian is, you can ask him to bring you there. Wouldn't that save a lot of effort?" Su Yun thought for a moment. Then he nodded and said, "You're right. If that's the case, then I will go with him to find Shi Hongdian." After that, he walked over and helped the man up. He asked, "What's your name?" "Reporting, sir. I am called Ah-san." The simple and honest man laughed. "Ah-san?" Su Yun frowned but did not ask. He took out a bag of spirit coins from his storage ring and handed it over. He said, "Go buy 2 spirit stallions now. Wait for me at the north side of the town. We will set off immediately to find Shi Hongdian." Ah-san heard and was stunned. "Sir, I just saw you hand over Tong Shui's head. Don't you want to rest for a few days and prepare before looking for Shi Hongdian?" "No need. Time is limited. If we delay, there will be changes. If we rest for a few days and Shi Hongdian changes his hiding place, then it will be troublesome. Hurry up and go." Su Yun insisted. Ah-san took the bag and hesitated for a moment. Then he hurriedly left. Because the wanted list was guarded 24 hours a day, there would be spirit cultivators here in the middle of the night. Therefore, the shops around the wanted list were open all night long. Very quickly, Ah-san brought 2 spirit stallions to the north gate of Mirror Lake Town. Su Yun was already waiting for him there. Chapter 134. Kacha, Kacha, Kacha. The sky was just beginning to brighten. The sound of horses galloping could be heard on the small road leading to the absolute forest. This was the 5th day. The 2 of them had been rushing for 5 days without stopping. Is Shi Hongdian in absolute forest? Su Yun glanced at the rising sun in the sky and looked up at Ah-san, who was leading the way on his spirit stallion. He asked, "Yes, he must be in absolute forest." Ah-san nodded and said, "After my younger brother was captured by Shi Hongdian, Ah-san followed him. Along the way, I thought of saving my younger brother, but I was shocked by Sure Hongdian's powerful means, so I gave up and went to Mirror Lake Town, hoping to get help from the Almighty. From the direction Sure Hongdian was heading in, he must be in Absolute Forest. The Absolute Forest was located 1,000 miles north of Mirror Lake Town. It was a huge and wild forest. The leaves in the forest were huge and dense, and the forest was very dark. It was said that there were ghosts in the Absolute Forest, so there were very few people around the Absolute Forest. No one settled here, and no one dared to come here on normal days. Hearing that, Su Yun's eyes turned. He thought for a while and asked, "If we go to Absolute Forest, isn't it faster to go from Kongming Main Street? Why do we choose this small road? This road is winding and rugged. It's very difficult to walk. If we go from here, we'll delay our journey by at least a day." "Is that so?" Sam was stunned for a while. He scratched his head and embarrassedly laughed. "I'm sorry, Master. I'm not too familiar with Absolute Forest. Is it faster to go from Kongming Main Street? Then let's change to Kongming Main Street." "No need." Su Yun laughed bitterly. "We're already here. What's there to change? After this road, we'll reach Absolute Forest. Let's get ready." Asan nodded. His expression became serious. "Oh, right. Since you've seen Sure Hongdian, then you know his techniques? Tell me about his techniques." Su Yun suddenly said. "Techniques?" Asan rubbed his chin and thought for a while. He said, "Sure Hongdian's strength is great, and he has many variations. But according to my observation, his weakness is his lower body." "Lower body?" Su Yun was stunned. Those with great strength, could it be that their lower body is not stable? "My lord, if you think like this, then you've fallen into a misunderstanding. That's for ordinary people, but it's different for Sure Hongdian. Sure Hongdian's nickname is Demonic Power, and his strength is ever-changing. How can it be treated like an ordinary person? Am I right?" "You're right. I was too inflexible." Su Yun agreed and did not say anything else. The spirit stallion increased its speed and continued to run towards the Absolute Forest. The closer they got to the Absolute Forest, the dimmer the light around them became. A few large birds flew out of the forest, and the smell of decay rose and floated in the air. As the distance between the two of them shortened, the smell became thicker and thicker. It was so choking that it was unbearable. Very quickly, a huge forest appeared in front of Su Yun. The forest was very strange. The leaves were all black, and in the depths of the forest, several dark green lights could be seen flickering. No one knew what they were, but just looking at them made one's scalp go numb. Asan got off the horse and tied the spirit stallion to the side of the road. Then he rushed to Su Yun and said, "My lord, follow me." Su Yun nodded, got off the horse, and followed him into the Absolute Forest. Gua-gua, gua-gua-gua. Waves of strange sounds came out. A few eagle-like strange birds flew out of the forest and into the sky. Su Yun looked at the few birds that flew away, lowered his head, and thought for a while. Then he followed Asan and continued forward. Asan led the way with ease. The two of them slowly went deeper into the Absolute Forest. The light around them was getting darker, and the temperature in the air was getting darker. The atmosphere was getting weirder. "Asan, where are you bringing me? This is the Absolute Forest, right? We're not familiar with this place. It's better to lure Sure Hongdian from the outside. I'm not familiar with this place." Su Yun shouted, "Lord, follow me. I know where Sure Hongdian is, and he's definitely cultivating right now. If we catch him off guard and take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and kill him, we might be able to deal with him easily." Asan said seriously. "Oh." Su Yun revealed a reasonable look and nodded his head. Asan looked at Su Yun and revealed a simple and honest smile. Then he turned his head and continued to lead the way. Pucci. At this moment, a sharp sword suddenly pierced through his chest from behind, and blood instantly dripped down. Asan's body twitched. His eyes were wide open. He looked at the sword tip on his chest in shock. He turned his head with difficulty. He saw the man wearing the iron mask staring at him coldly. "My lord, what are you doing?" Asan struggled. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. "Why are you acting?" Su Yun said indifferently. "I thought you were a meticulous person. I never expected you to be so careless." Careless? Previously, you told me that you weren't familiar with the absolute forest and that you had mistakenly taken a longer path to the west. I believed you, but I didn't expect that just now you would say that you know where Shihong Dian is. If you know this, how could you be unfamiliar with the absolute forest? How can you not know that you can reach the absolute forest faster by taking the bright path? So don't lie to me. You brought me along the path to the west of the smoke just to buy time. So you can inform Shihong Dian to ambush and kill me. Am I right? Su Yin said indifferently. Then he moved his arm. The 1,000-deep sword that was pierced into Ah San's body rotated. Ah San's body twitched. His honest face suddenly changed. There were many ripples on it. Then a young and tender face appeared. This face looked to be about 27 or 28 years old. His face was contorted in pain. I never expected you to see through me. Not simple. You're really not simple. Cough, cough. Ah San's face started to turn pale. His voice was extremely weak. Profound art of disguise? I never expected you to disguise yourself. Seeing Ah San's face change, Su Yun suddenly understood. If I'm not wrong, Shihong Dian has already set up an ambush at the location you know. He's waiting for you to lure me over, right? You're delaying for time to inform Shihong Dian to prepare, right? That's right. Ah San's mouth revealed a sinister smile. He raised his trembling hand and grabbed onto the sword blade and laughed weakly. I am actually Shihong Dian's disciple. He taught me the spirit-absorbing technique. And as a condition, I have to bring a spirit cultivator here every month. And with the two of us working together, we will kill him and provide him with the cultivation technique. Every time, I would disguise myself to lure the spirit cultivator, and to prevent myself from being recognized by the person in charge of the wanted board, I would appear at different times, and in a day, there will be 4 people in charge of the wanted board taking turns to watch, and I would stagger my choices, and previously I had successfully lured them, but had never thought that you would actually see through me. Speaking till here, Ah San's eyes showed a trace of unwillingness. When did you start to suspect me? When I asked you to buy the spirit stallion, I saw the worry in your eyes. Su Yun said indifferently. When I asked you to buy the spirit stallion and prepare to leave immediately, your eyes were not filled with the passion of revenge. Instead, it was filled with worry and apprehension. This made me suspicious. A person who is burdened with hatred, why would he not want to take revenge? Because of that, I became suspicious. Just based on one look? That's enough, Su Yin said. Ah San was startled. After a while, he laughed miserably. More and more blood flowed out of his mouth, flowing out from his lips, but he did not feel much pain. On the contrary, at this time, he grabbed Su Yun's hand with both his hands and sneered at him. You are very smart, but in the end, you still made a mistake. This is Shihong Dian's territory. Entering here, you're already dead. Ha! There's no way out. There's no way out. Ha ha! With that, Ah San suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a blood arrow into the sky. The blood arrow entered the sky and immediately disappeared. Seeing that, Su Yun wanted to stop the blood arrow, but it was too late. His heart congealed. He immediately grabbed the 1,000-deep sword and slashed upwards. Ah San's entire body was cut into 2. His internal organs and blood flowed all over the ground. Even his bones were broken. Ah San died instantly. Su Yun snorted and kept his sword. From the looks of it, Ah San was Shihong Dian's disciple. Shihong Dian was currently listed on the wanted list. It was extremely dangerous. There were hunters hunting him down frequently. In order to cultivate in peace, he tried his best to not expose his tracks. Instead, he chose a person who coveted his martial arts to be his disciple. Using his disciple as bait, he brought in a few high-level spirit cultivators who wanted to kill him. Then, the 2 of them worked together to ambush him. Shihong Dian used him to cultivate. Ah San was hit, but he was not angry. Instead, he patiently dragged time with Su Yun. He spat out a mouthful of blood and spat it into the sky. In fact, he was reporting to Shihong Dian. Shihong Dian probably knew that Ah San was exposed. He would definitely rush over here at top speed. Since that was the case, he might as well ambush him once. Think about it. Su Yun suddenly moved. He leaped towards the big tree at the side. He flew into the dense tree and hid. With the heavenly scale divine, to conceal his chi, as long as he did not expose himself, no one would notice him. Usually, high-level spirit cultivators would use their chi to detect people. But in front of Su Yun, they were completely useless. The surroundings were extremely quiet. The strange green ghost fire floated in the forest. It dyed the originally dark forest with a layer of unspeakable strangeness. Just that, after hiding in the big tree for an entire day, Shi Hongdian did not appear. Asan's corpse was starting to stink. Did he not receive news of Asan's death? Or was it that he was already exposed? Su Yun's heart was filled with doubts. He did not dare to be negligent. She continued to hide in the tree and stared at everything. Could it be that Shi Hongdian was waiting for him to go deeper into the forest? At this time, it was all about patience. Su Yun did not dare to advance. After all, Shi Hongdian's strength was much higher than his. It would not be a problem to fight him head-on. But if Shi Hongdian launched a sneak attack or a trap to kill him, then he would be done for. Gotcha! Just as Su Yun was letting his imagination run wild, planning his next move, in the quiet forest, an unknown object suddenly made a crisp sound. Su Yun's ears twitched. He looked towards the direction of the sound and saw a figure slowly approaching. Chapter 135. It seemed like Shi Hongdian could not hold it in any longer. Su Yun took a deep breath and quietly pulled out Thousand Deep Sword. He stared at the silhouette. From the depths of the dark forest, a person in yellow armor walked out slowly. On his body, there were a few skeletons. This person looked like he was in his 40s. His beard was long and messy. There were many bloodstains on his face. He was extremely sloppy. On both of his hands, there was a pair of metal gloves. On the knuckles of the gloves, there was a purple gem. It looked extremely dazzling. He took heavy but silent steps as he walked over. He looked around cautiously as though he was guarding against something. But the surroundings were quiet. There was no sound. There was not even the sound of the wind blowing. Su Yun squinted his eyes. He clenched his fists tighter. He was ready to strike. But just at that moment, Shi Hongdian, who was walking, suddenly stopped, turned his head, and actually looked towards Su Yun. Su Yun felt something was wrong. In a moment, a large amount of green substance appeared on his left and right. These substances were like the mouth of a ferocious beast, biting towards Su Yun fiercely. Su Yun's nerves tightened. With a leap, he jumped down from the tree. The big bite missed. Bada! He landed on the ground. But in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, a figure appeared in front of him. Then, two fists with the force of a mountain smashed towards him with a whistling wind. Su Yun's pupils dilated. He quickly raised Thousand Deep Sword to block. Bang! Both fists collided with Thousand Deep Sword. A vast force spread out. He flew out in a flash and smashed through a large number of thick trees. Only then did he stop. Cough, cough. Su Yun coughed a few times. He staggered as he stood up. TSK, TSK, TSK. Your physique is not bad. You can still stand up after taking one of my attacks. Although I can't see your cultivation level, it should not be low. Shi Hongdian walked over. His face was calm as he curled his lips. Seems like you knew my position from the start. Su Yun wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He took out a pill from his storage ring and swallowed it. He looked at Shi Hongdian with a burning gaze. As soon as that idiotic disciple of mine died, your position was captured by me. I left a mark on his heart. As long as he dies and his blood splashes on your body, I will know where you are until the blood dries up. With that, Su Yun realized that he was surrounded by a large number of green spirit bodies. They were like ghosts, surrounding him tightly. There were about 20 of them, and their strength was around the third stage of the spirit intermediate disciple realm. Seeing this, Su Yun understood. You've obviously found my position, but you haven't made a move yet. You must be preparing to kill me. Su Yun retracted his focused eyes and said softly, Of course. Shi Hongdian nodded his head calmly, his beard moving again. You're a big prey. You can definitely help me break through to the 5th stage of the Spirit Core Disciple and increase my spirit demon power. If I don't prepare and prevent you from escaping, then wouldn't I lose more than I gain? Oh, Su Yun nodded. His gaze swept around and asked, Just relying on these guys to prevent me from escaping? Shi Hong Dian's eyes narrowed. Is it not enough? Of course it's not enough. Su Yun bellowed. Suddenly, he waved both his hands. Thousand deep sword and death sword burst out in a flash, like two ferocious dragons, circling left and right, piercing towards the green spirit bodies. The sudden burst of chi was like an unsheathed sword, cold, sharp, swift, and sharp. It pierced through the skin and flesh of people, causing their hairs to stand. Such a strong, swift wind spirit chi. Shi Hong Dian's face changed. He had never seen such a strange imperial sword technique before. Immediately, he controlled the spirit bodies and made them build a defense. However, the spirit bodies all took out a dark green shield wall to block the sword that was stabbing at them. But the shield wall was like a block of wood, clang, 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 clang. They were all pierced through. The spirit bodies fell to the ground, twitching, immediately losing their fighting power. Seems like I can't rely on this to keep you here. Shi Hong Dian's face was sinister. He stomped his feet, and a ball of fire chi exploded from his feet. Like a rocket, he rushed forward. That pair of thick and shocking fists came flying over again. The surging chi was like a volcano erupting. Humph! Su Yun was not the least bit afraid. With a finger gesture, Thousand Deep Sword flew over and landed in his palm. Then, he released all of his pure divine spirit chi. Holding onto the trembling Thousand Deep Sword, he swung it towards the pair of fists. Bang! The sword and the fists clashed. It was like a meteorite crashing into the earth. The shockingly turbulent chi rippled out in all directions. The surrounding trees were all broken. The entire absolute forest was clear of trees. The two of them used all of their strength and faced each other. Thousand Deep Sword, second fragment. Su Yun clenched his teeth. He was not willing to relax. Even though his cultivation was lower than Shi Hong Dian, even though his power was lower than Shi Hong Dian's, with a Thousand Deep Sword and his unwillingness to let go, he was able to withstand the opponent's oppression. Shi Hong Dian roared. All of his true divine spirit chi burst forth. The sound of metal clashing could be heard. Then, the force that the Thousand Deep Sword had to withstand increased by several folds. Su Yun felt that all of his bones were being pressured to the extreme. If he had to withstand any more force, he would have broken. It was truly demonic power. If it was a normal person, he would have been crushed into minced meat. Su Yun thought to himself. He quickly activated the third fragment of the Thousand Deep Sword. Voila! The Thousand Deep Sword radiated brilliantly. The true divine spirit chi was overflowing from the sword's body. Then, it rushed towards Shi Hong Dian. Shi Hong Dian's arms were trembling. He was shocked to feel the power. But very quickly, his lips curled into a weird smile. His smile was obscure, but Su Yun caught it. Could it be? You want to compete with me? Good. Very good. I will let you see what true power is. With that, Su Yun felt the power of the Thousand Deep Sword crumble. It was an extremely weird phenomenon. It was as if there was an exquisite and boundless power seeping into the Thousand Deep Sword. It dissolved its own power and quickly rushed toward his body. He quickly released his grip, threw away the Thousand Deep Sword, and retreated. Skillful? Could this be the skill that made you famous? Su Yun frowned. Shi Hong Dian's fists glowed brilliantly. A green light overflowed. The mystical and exquisite true divine spirit chi overflowed. When a person can't even use his power, how can he fight with me? Shi Hong Dian laughed lowly. It was a silent agreement. Skillful power, powerless, and unbreakable. He did not hold back. He did not give Su Yun any time to think about how to deal with the skillful power. He waved his fists again and attacked. Full of true divine spirit chi. This was not any ordinary true divine spirit chi. A large amount of green chi swirled in it. It was true divine spirit chi mixed with skillful power. Su Yun hurriedly dodged. He rolled on the ground a few times. Bang! Bang! The true divine spirit chi hit the ground and exploded. Su Yun only got up after a while. He was in a sorry state. The true divine spirit chi mixed with skillful power was impossible to defend against. Any defense would be dissolved by skillful power. Other than dodging, there was no other way. The giant rock spirit nucleus could not petrify this guy. After all, his cultivation was higher. Petrification would only take a moment. He had to rely on the storm sword technique. He came to look for him. Wasn't to train his sword in chi. Su Yun congealed. He stared intently at Shi Hongdian. He held both his hands and waited. So, on the other side, Shi Hongdian launched another attack and charged over. Su Yun immediately unleashed his pure divine spirit chi to the maximum. He dodged the attack and rushed towards Shi Hongdian. His speed was so fast that one could only catch a glimpse of his silhouette. When he neared Shi Hongdian, the death sword which was still hovering in the air and the thousand deep sword which was on the ground immediately trembled and rushed towards Shi Hongdian. An unsheathed sword and a sword that doesn't have much chi. You want to use these two swords to fight against me? Heh, you really don't know what's good for you. Shi Hongdian's eyes were filled with disdain. He punched the ground with both of his hands. He released his power. The ground protruded with a large number of stones that were covered with array patterns. They were arranged in front of him. Split, Su Yun bellowed. Suddenly, he waved his finger. Heaven-splitting sword technique. The thousand deep sword and death sword split into two. Each of them transformed into a sword image. They went around the stones and pierced towards Shi Hongdian. Huh! Shi Hongdian was stunned. He immediately leapt back. He released a large amount of true divine spirit chi towards the flying swords. He wanted to strike them down, but these swords were extremely agile. They actually swayed left and right to avoid the attacks. Don't look down on me. Shi Hongdian saw that he could not avoid it. He bellowed. Suddenly, he bent both his legs and got into a horse stance. Then he bellowed. A layer of turtle shell pattern appeared on his skin. Dang, 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 dang. 2 real swords and 2 fake swords struck on his body, but it was hard to pierce through. Sparks flew, and they were rebounded. Power is not only used to attack. It can also be used for defense. Don't think that just because you're fast, I can't do anything to you. You can't even break through my physical body. How are you going to hurt me? Shi Hongdian stared at the swords that were rebounded and said coldly, Bada. Just then, Su Yun, who was rushing over, suddenly stopped a few meters away from Shi Hongdian. His eyes narrowed. His hair and robes fluttered. He raised his right hand and pointed his finger at Shi Hongdian. He seemed to be activating something. Shi Hongdian was stunned. Before he could react, he felt as though he was being locked on by thousands of chi. Heart, brain, lower body, heaven's door. All the vital parts were being penetrated by thousands of chi. Not good. Shi Hongdian's heart trembled. He hurriedly stood up and rushed towards Su Yun. But at this moment, the death sword that was hovering in the air rushed over and pierced towards Shi Hongdian. Thousand Deep Sword continued to revolve and headed towards the bright and translucent chi. Slowly nearing, slowly entering, the sword tip glistened. It seemed to have merged with the translucent chi. Ah! Shi Hongdian used a huge amount of power to repel the death sword. Then, he clenched his fist and used all the true divine spirit chi in his body to attack Su Yun's face. But, in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, the Thousand Deep Sword had already entered the chi's path. Then, a ray of snow-white lightning-like sword followed the path and shot out. Shi Hongdian did not see anything. He only felt a blur in front of him. Thousands of sword images wrapped around him. It was like a blooming lotus. Dang, 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 dang. His tough skin that was filled with true divine spirit chi was instantly cut by the concentrated sword images. Sparks flew and a large amount of pure divine spirit chi surged. Shi Hongdian let out an extremely miserable howl. His skin that was as hard as rocks started to be sliced open and lacerated. Flesh flew everywhere and fresh blood spurted out. In just a few breaths of time, his body had been pierced by thousands of swords. He became a bloody man. The defense on his body was destroyed. Chapter 136. Recently, there were many rumors about the limitless sword lord in the Julian district. Everyone below the 5th place on the wanted list, who did not receive the wanted list, were all killed by the limitless sword lord. A large number of evil people were beheaded, and their heads were hung in front of the wanted list. No matter who it was, as long as they were targeted by the limitless Sword Lord, they would not be able to escape. This phenomenon was extremely rare. Even the hunters could not kill so many evil people in such a short period of time. Because of this, the top 5 of the wanted list were much more restrained. After all, the limitless Sword Lord could even kill a blood soul. Who knew if he would target the top 5? Recently, the frequency of evil cultivators appearing had decreased greatly. This was also the reason. As a result, the commoners were extremely grateful to the limitless Sword Lord. Even the spirit cultivators were more and more respectful to the mysterious and powerful limitless Sword Lord. In addition to the incident at the Purple Star Academy, the name of the limitless Sword Lord immediately spread throughout the entire southern region. Su-Yun, where have you been all this time? Don't you know that the meeting of heroes is about to begin? On the main street of the Su family's outer sect, Su-Yun carried the sword sheath on his back. He lowered his head and walked quickly towards the small house. The captain of the inner sect patrol immediately shouted at him. Su-Yun stopped and raised his head to look at him. The captain sized him up and said, "The inner sect manager, Master Su Shilong, has already looked for you a few times. You are the only one in the outer sect of the Su family who has the qualifications to participate in the meeting of heroes. This is a huge benefit. You must not neglect it. Strive to perform well in the meeting of heroes. If you neglect it and lose the face of the Su family, you will definitely be punished. Do you understand?" After Su-Yun heard this, his gaze swept across the few of them. He then turned his head. Without saying a word, he carried the sword sheath and left. "You bastard!" The captain was furious. He wanted to pull Su-Yun back, but was stopped by the people behind him. "Captain, forget it. Forget it. Don't bother with him. Let me go. An outer sect disciple dares to be so arrogant," the captain said angrily. "Outer sect disciple? Captain, don't get it wrong. He even dared to kill disciples of the inner sect. He even dared to slaughter disciples of the main house. He cannot be provoked. That's right. I heard that this rascal's cultivation is extremely dense and has long entered the spirit intermediate realm. I also heard that he has connections with the almighty people of Blossom Heart Valley. Don't think that he is just an outer sect disciple. He is powerful." The team member beside him hurriedly advised. Hearing this, the captain's expression changed and became a little dispirited. However, seeing that he was surrounded by members of the patrol team, he felt that he couldn't lose face. He snorted and said, "So what? An outer disciple is an outer disciple. My position is higher than his, so he has to listen to me." Yes. Captain is right. The patrolling members' hearts were as clear as a mirror, but they didn't point it out. They just kept on agreeing. It had been almost a month since he returned to the Su family. During this period of time, other than practicing his swordsmanship and chi, he was refining pills. Soon, the Four Seas Hero Gathering would begin. Although he had no intention of participating, he had no choice but to attend since the Su clan had mentioned his name. He just had to think of a way to deal with it. Su-Yun sighed and returned to his house. He took out the cauldron and planned to continue refining pills. During this period of time, he had been using the experts on the wanted list to practice chi forming with a thought. He had gained a lot of cultivation and battle experience. He had also earned a lot of spirit coins. With a total of 700,000 spirit coins, he specially participated in the Heavenly Sun Auction House's auction every 4 months. He obtained a pile of good materials and a high-grade purple cloud cauldron. The spring crystal cauldron's grade was a little low. Refining high-grade pills required a lot of time. Furthermore, it could only be used to refine low-grade pills. It could not guarantee the success of refining high-grade pills, so the chances of failure were high. He had bought many good materials at the auction, but he had also spent a total of 600,000 spirit coins. It was a shocking amount. Fortunately, Su-Yun did not care much about money. Money was just an item to exchange for things. In his opinion, pills that could save his life were more valuable. In his mind, there were 2 top-grade pills. During this period of time, they had been controlling his thoughts. The secret manual left behind by the ancestors of Blossom Heart Valley had recorded to abandon all desires and love, to pursue the great Tao for personal gain, to be fearless, to transform into one's own strength. The Tao is formless. The human heart is soulless. Only the Tao is righteous. The extreme realm can be solved. This was the description of Blossom Heart Valley's rare secret pill, the Vanishing Spirit Pill. The Vanishing Spirit Pill was not some heaven-defying pill. It only had one use. After a person consumed the pill, it would open up all of the body's spirit essences and air sacs. It would double in size and release the chi that was released in the opposite direction. The spirit essences were an extremely mystical structure in the spirit cultivator's body. It was distributed in all the arteries and veins. It had an unexplainable mystical power. When it changed from producing and releasing to absorbing, it produced an unimaginable effect. When the spirit essences were fully opened and absorbed, it could absorb the profound spirit chi from the surrounding spirit cultivators. Then it would turn their profound spirit chi into its own. In other words, if the Vanishing Spirit Pill was used properly, it could produce an unexpected effect. As for the other pill, it was a rare pill that came from the devil's sect. 10,000 Resentment Pill. To refine this pill, he did not use the ingredients from the Heavenly Sun auction house. Instead, he used the hearts of the evil people that he had killed on the wanted list. The hearts of evil people were different from ordinary people. Their hearts were filled with a large amount of killing intent, grievances, and the nightmares of the people that they had killed. These were things that ordinary people did not have in their hearts. They were the main ingredients to refine the 10,000 Resentment Pill. Once the 10,000 Resentment Pill was born, consuming it would allow one's body to enter an undying state of grievances. Although the medicinal effect could only last for an incense stick of time, it was a divine pill that could save one's life. As long as one's head was not chopped off, even if one's limbs were chopped off, they could quickly grow back. In the following days, Suyin stayed in the house to refine the two rare pills. He did not care about the outside world. The date of the meeting of heroes was getting closer. It was getting more and more lively outside. In the glittering sky, the immortal palace floated. Below, a group of people dressed in snow-white Blade Master clothes were training on a flat sword field. White mist floated around them. In the distance, there were many golden pillars. A gigantic stone sword stood in the middle. The sword hilt seemed to pierce through the clouds. It was extremely majestic. The passageways around the sword field were engraved with lifelike images of dragons and phoenixes, and on this huge sword field, a huge cultivation formation was being activated. Sword chi overflowed, the light aura shining brightly. The disciples were either exchanging pointers, nurturing their chi, or cultivating by themselves. No one was slacking off. This was the elite disciple training field of the Immortal Sword sect. So, just then, a rainbow shot down from the Immortal Palace in the sky and landed on the highest stage at the front of the sword field. With a wave of her veil, a beautiful lady appeared in front of all the disciples. Her eyebrows were as deep as mountains. Her appearance was perfect. Her figure was exquisite. Her black hair and white veil complemented each other. From head to toe, she looked like a fairy from the Jade Lake. Seeing that, everyone anxiously stopped training. They turned and cupped their fists. They bowed and greeted. "We pay our respects to 3rd Clan Elder." The shouts shook the heavens, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas. The beautiful lady raised her gem-like eyes and swept across the disciples. She nodded her head and said, "Disciples, you don't have to be so courteous." "Thank you, Clan Elder." The disciples all accepted their gifts. The white-veiled lady looked at everyone. Then, her gaze landed on the front row of the disciples. Her pink lips gently moved. "In a few days, it will be the Southern Region's triennial meeting of heroes. My sect has participated in the past few years, but our results have not been satisfactory, especially the Swallowing Heavens sect. My Immortal Sword sect has always been defeated by them. We have lost face. This time, the meeting of heroes, I will personally go with all of you. I will hold the fort for all of you. All of you must fight for the glory of my Immortal Sword sect." Defeat the Swallowing Heavens sect. In one fell swoop, we will become the champion of the meeting of heroes. Do you understand? Disciple will not disappoint clan elder. I will not disappoint sect leader. The Immortal Sword sect disciples anxiously shouted, especially the male disciples. They want to jump up and shout. Good. The white-veiled lady nodded her head. Her eyes swept across the crowd. She stared at the front row of disciples and said, Yin Shan, disciple is here. A young lady dressed in Blade Master clothes immediately walked out from the crowd. She cupped her fists and shouted, The great clan elder has high hopes for you. This time, I am going because of the great clan elder's invitation. In the remaining days, you must work even harder to cultivate. Do not disappoint your master and me. Do you understand? Yin Shan understands. Bai Yin Shan said softly. Later when you come to Pure Jade Palace, I will give you some pills to help you cultivate. The other disciples will also be given a magnificent heart 3-link pill. The attendant disciples will be in charge of distributing them. With that said, the white-veiled lady stepped forward. She leapt up and transformed into a rainbow. She flew out. Farewell, clan elder. The disciples anxiously shouted. Magnificent heart 3-link pill. That was a treasure. They never thought that the third clan elder would give it to them. The disciples were all excited. They worshipped the third clan elder even more. Junior Sister Bai, you've really met with a stroke of good fortune. The great clan elder regards you so highly. The sect is also nurturing you well. You must definitely take the title of the Meeting of Heroes. That's right, senior sister. You are talented. Although you have been cultivating for a shorter period of time than the other senior brothers and sisters, your cultivation has increased by leaps and bounds. You are truly a rare genius of our Immortal Sword sect. In this meeting of heroes, the disciples of the other sects are definitely not your opponents. Senior sister, you can do it. Senior sister Bai, you can do it. Our Immortal Sword sect will definitely win. The championship is ours. The treasure is ours too. The male and female disciples of the Immortal Sword sect shouted excitedly. On a vast land, there was a country that covered an extremely large area. The country occupied an extremely large area, with a population of over 1 million. Furthermore, there was a regular spirit cultivator army. Countless of powerful cultivators oversaw it. There were even a few big sects that were stationed in the country. This country was the #1 superpower in the south, the Long Ao nation. In the palace, the monarch Long Ba Tian sat majestically and solemnly, looking at the group of golden-robed young men kneeling in the forest below. There were males and females. All of their expressions were extremely solemn and devout. On their foreheads, there was a golden dragon tattoo. All of them were as dazzling as gods. Their auras were extraordinary. Reporting to your majesty, these are the seated contestants that we are selecting this time. Every contestant is at least a 3rd-stage Spirit Core disciple. In terms of overall cultivation, we have suppressed all the sects in the southern region. We are #1. A white-faced eunuch wearing a eunuch uniform said respectfully with a shrill voice. Not bad. Long Ba Tian nodded his head. His voice was deep. In the past competitions, my Long Ao nation has always been #1. This time, we will definitely not fall behind. But obtaining #1 is not enough. I want all of you to completely subdue all the sects. Let them feel fear towards my Long Ao nation. Let them know the strength of my Long Ao nation. This is extremely important to the future development of our Long Ao nation. Do you understand? Yes, my majesty. All of the ministers and military generals, as well as the selected disciples, all kneeled down and shouted, Collect your rewards. We will set off tomorrow. Long Ba Tian stood up. He raised his hand and shouted. All the sects were preparing. The most important moment was about to arrive. Inside a small house in the outer sect of the Su family. Bada! A light sound came out. The man slowly opened his eyes. Looking at the green smoke rising from the cauldron in front of him, he stood up and walked towards the cauldron. Chapter 137. A few days later, Su Clan's main inner, and outer clan's main streets were all plastered with notices. The meeting of heroes was about to begin. Tomorrow, the Su family's participating disciples would depart for the meeting of heroes location. This time, the main people in charge of the Su family were the Su family's second clan elder, Su Tai, and the Su family's inner sect attendant, Su Shilong. Tomorrow at noon, all the disciples would gather at the Su family's outer sect gate. Most of the participating disciples were from the main house and the inner sect elites. As for the outer sect, after so many years, Su Yun was the only one. Night fell. Su Yun was still sitting on the bed with his eyes closed, waiting for the sun to rise. He did not prepare much. From his point of view, as long as he could muddle through, it would be enough. He was too lazy to participate in a battle of his level. Do. Just then, there was a light knock on the door. Su Yun opened his eyes, got off the bed, and opened the door. He saw Yu Yang and his sister, who he had not seen for a long time, standing at the door, smiling at him. Seeing this, Su Yun smiled. "Why are the two of you here?" "I missed Big Brother, so I came." Xianu laughed. Xing Yang scratched his head and laughed foolishly, but he did not say anything. "Come in and sit." Su Yun turned and walked over to the teapot on the table and poured a cup of spirit tea for the two of them. "How is it? How have you been recently? How has Fu Su treated you?" Su Yun handed over the tea and asked. "Prince Fu Su has treated us very well." Su Xianu took the tea and thanked him softly. She then said, "The Crown Prince is a kind person and treats us very well. Usually, he would give us some treasures and elixirs. He also allows us to enter his private cultivation area to cultivate. He does not put on airs and treats us like his own brother and sister." Oh, Su Yun heard and was stunned. Normally, the training grounds of spirit cultivators were unique and would not allow others to enter. But Fu Su was so generous, and he even allowed an inner sect disciple whose status was much lower than him to enter. Did he only allow the two of you to enter, or everyone can enter? Su Yun asked. Of course he treats everyone equally. As long as you follow Prince Fu Su, you can use his training grounds. Xing Yang chuckled and said, "Big brother, you don't know how powerful the Crown Prince's training field is. It's huge. It's half the size of the outer sect, and there are several layers of cultivation enhancement and cultivation assistance formations. Cultivating there is several times faster than cultivating outside. It's really amazing." As Xing Yang spoke, his face revealed an excited expression. Hearing that, Su Yun became silent. Not only that, Su Donghao and the rest even came to find trouble with us, but they were all blocked by Prince Fu Su. If not for Prince Fu Su, I'm afraid we would have been wiped out by Su Donghao and the rest. Su Xinyue said. They were weak in the Su family, so how could they be Su Donghao's opponent? Oh, Su Yun was silent for a moment, then nodded his head. Since that's the case, then you guys should follow Prince Fu Su well, follow him and train well, but you guys must always be on guard against him. Don't trust him completely, understand? Why? Xing Yang didn't understand. The Crown Prince is a good person, but Xianu was smart. She understood and said, Big Brother is afraid that Prince Fu Su is trying to win us over. I'm just guessing. Maybe it's not a guess. Xianu said. Initially, when we sought refuge with the Crown Prince, the others despised us for being weak and rejected us. But the Crown Prince knew that we have a good relationship with you, so he immediately agreed. I feel that the Crown Prince is not only trying to win us over, he might even want to win you over. I don't want to think too much. Su Yun laughed bitterly and shook his head. I've only met Fu Su once. How can I win him over? Furthermore, what's his motive for winning us over? We're just paupers with nothing. Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. Anyway, you guys have to be careful. Xin, you did not continue on this topic. The three of them asked about the current situation, then Xin, you went straight to the main topic. Big Brother, you're going to participate in the meeting of heroes tomorrow. You have to be careful. Careful? Careful of what? Of course it's Su Shilong. Su Shilong. Did Big Brother forget? Su Shilong is the great clan elder's man. You once chopped off Su Donghao's arm for us. The great clan elder harbors a grudge against you and has long wanted to get rid of you. If not for Senior Pill King from Blossom Heart Valley speaking up, "Big brother, I'm afraid you'll be in endless trouble. Although the Great Clan Elder can't do anything to you, Su Shilong will definitely do something to please the Great Clan Elder. Big brother, you have to be careful." Xinu's tone was filled with worry. Thinking about it, the two of them came here tonight to remind Suyun. Suyun thought for a while, smiled, and did not say anything. The three of them chatted for 2 hours. Then Xinu and Xingyang stood up and left. Suyun was leaving the next day, so the two of them did not want to disturb him. After the Yuyang siblings left, Suyun sat quietly in the house for a while. Finally, a deep sigh sounded out in the house. The sky had not brightened yet, but the outer sect was already bustling. Waves of shouts and horse hooves sounded out. A few of the Su family disciples were already waiting at the outer sect gate. It was not until noon that the sparse Su family disciples gathered at the gate. The outer sect steward brought a lot of outer sect disciples along with a single horn cow and arranged for them to wait at the gate. When the participating disciples came over, they would let them choose a single horn cow as a mount. The Su family did not provide any supplies for this competition, so they had to prepare everything themselves. All of the participating disciples used their best treasures. Their clothing was also not uniform. Some wore colorful robes, some wore heavy armor, and some even had large and small jewelry and treasures hanging on their bodies. Everyone was fully armed, and their battle prowess was raised to the extreme. The outer sect disciples were drooling at the sight of them. Wow, what level of treasures are these? My eyes are blinded. Let's cultivate well. In the future, we will definitely be able to use these treasures. AI, don't think too much. Let's enter the inner sect first. If we can't even enter the inner sect, how can we covet these treasures? The outer sect disciples whispered to each other. After changing into a clean white blade master robe, Suyun walked out of the hut and walked along the main road towards the outer sect gate. Along the way, he saw many inner sect disciples walking together in groups. The main family was surrounded by the crowd as they walked towards the outer sect gate. The participating disciples were all awe-inspiring and arrogant. Only Suyun was mixed in the crowd and did not say a word. "All participating disciples, please receive your single horn cow from me. Then, please wait outside the gate for the elders and deacons." The outer sect person in charge shouted loudly. After the participating disciples heard, they lazily walked towards the person in charge. The outer sect disciples who were waiting at the side immediately brought over a single horn cow and respectfully handed the reins to the participating disciples. The participating disciples did not even look at the outer sect disciples. They just led the single horn cow and left. Suyun glanced at them and walked over. However, when he walked over, the outer sect person in charge did not seem to see him. He shouted loudly, "Next!" The people behind him walked over, and each and every one of them received their own mounts. The outer sect disciples continued to give out mounts, but still ignored Suyun. Suyun frowned. "I'm also a participating disciple," he called out, but the other party still ignored him as though he was deaf. Suddenly, Suyun raised his hand. A long and cold sword was pulled out from the sword sheath on his back. Then, like lightning, it was placed on the outer sect person in charge's neck. Everyone was stunned. They saw Suyun grabbing onto the outer sect person in charge's clothes. With a gloomy face, he said, "Either you give me the single horned cow, or I will chop off your head." His voice was sinister and overflowing with killing intent. The disciples in front and behind were all stunned. In broad daylight, Suyun dared to do that? "Suyun, what are you doing? Such guts, to dare to behave atrociously here." One person shouted anxiously. Suyun looked up. It was Su Dongfang, who he had not seen for a long time. "Behave atrociously?" Suyun snorted. "Although I am an outer sect disciple, I am also a participating disciple in this year's meeting of heroes. These single horn cows are provided by the Su family. Every participating disciple can receive one. But this person did not give it to me. That is disobeying the orders of the Su family. He is a sinner of the Su family. I have the right to kill him." With that, Suyun immediately took out his sword. He was about to chop off the head of the outer sect person in charge. Everyone broke out in cold sweat. Their hearts were beating wildly. The rumors were true. Su Yun was indeed a ruthless person. Stop. The few main family disciples saw this. How would they dare to hesitate? They hurriedly leapt over. Brandishing their treasures, they struck the 1,000-deep sword that was aimed at the outer sect person in charge's neck. Dang! The 1,000-deep sword deviated from its original position and landed on the ground. Su Yin released his hand and retreated a few steps. He stared at these people and said indifferently, "Good. Not bad. I never thought that all of you would disobey the Su family and become traitors of the Su family. Very good. I will go and report to the main house now." With that, he turned around. "Wait, Su Yun." One of the main house disciples hastily stopped him. "This is a misunderstanding. He did not say that he will not give you the single-horned cow. This is a misunderstanding." The person said, "Misunderstanding?" Su Yun turned his head. He stared at the outer sect person in charge who had long been scared silly. He said indifferently, "Is this a misunderstanding?" Seeing Su Yun looking at him, the outer sect person in charge shivered. He twitched a little and hurriedly nodded his head. "Yes, yes, yes. This is a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Master Su Yun, I was prepared to give you the single-horned cow. How would I dare not to give it to you, right?" He. The outer sect person in charge rubbed his hands and said with a smile, "If that's the case, then that's for the best." Su Yun slowly kept the 1,000-deep sword sheath. Everyone saw that Su Yun did not blow up the matter. All of them secretly wiped their sweat. After such a commotion, who would dare to embarrass Su Yun? Quickly bring Master Su Yun's mount over." The outer sect person in charge shouted anxiously. All right. The other people in charge hurriedly moved. After a while, the crisp sound of hooves hitting the ground rang out. A tall and big mount was brought over. Su Yun looked up, but just one look. His face that had just regained his composure darkened again. He extended his hand again and took out the 1,000-deep sword. He looked coldly at the outer sect person in charge and said, "What's the meaning of this?" The outer sect person in charge was shocked. Before he could explain, he heard a voice coming from the outer sect door. "This is my intention. You just have to make do with it." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone turned their heads in unison and heard the sound of cheering. Second Clan Elder Su Tai has arrived. Intersect Deacon Master Su Shilong has arrived. Chapter 138. Rows after rows of well-equipped main house guards walked out. There were about 20 of them. They lined up on the left and right, following the 3 purple-horned beast carriages heading out. The one sitting at the front of the carriage was the second clan elder of the Su family, Su Tai. The purple-horned beast on the elder's carriage was much bigger than the normal purple-horned beast. It had a thick power, and its profound spirit chi was extremely strong. But this one was actually at the 5th stage of the spirit intermediate disciple realm. The other 2 were only at the 3rd stage of the spirit intermediate disciple realm. In the middle was the carriage of the Su family's deacon. Su Shilong opened the curtains and looked towards Su Yun. His eyes were filled with pride. And the last carriage was the precious carriage of the main house's meticulously nurtured exceptional genius, Qing Er. Qing Er was brought into the main house and was the noble young miss. Although she was born in the outer sect, she was gifted and trained hard. With the accumulation of treasures from the main house, Qing Er's current strength was extremely valiant. Ordinary disciples of the main house had to be respectful in front of her and did not dare to offend her. When the carriage opened, the curtains of the carriage door were hurriedly lifted, and a cute young lady dressed in Blade Master attire immediately jumped down from the carriage. Her feet moved like a golden lotus as she jogged towards Su Yun, and with her tender little mouth, she called out, "Young master." "Qing Er." Su Yun's eyes lit up. Qing Er wanted to jump into Su Yun's embrace, but she stopped when she was close to Su Yun. There were so many pairs of eyes around. If she jumped into Su Yun's embrace, then she would not only be in trouble, but Su Yun as well. She had 1,000 words in her heart. She took a deep breath and wanted to say something, but she heard Su Yun call out, "Qing Er, you are now part of the main house. There are many people here. We can talk later. Ching Er was stunned for a while. Hearing that, she obediently nodded her head. Her eyes looked to the side. When she saw the person in charge of the outer sect leading a spirit stallion, she could not help but be angry. Master Su Shilong, what is the meaning of this? Ching Er angrily rebuked. What do you mean? Su Shilong jumped off the purple-horned beast carriage. His face was full of confusion. Miss Ching Er, what are you talking about? Ching Er was burning with anger. She snorted. The other participating disciples are all single-horned bulls. Why did you arrange a spirit stallion for my young master? What is the meaning of this? Su Shilong was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, he smiled awkwardly and said, this time, our Su family has 50 disciples participating in the competition. But the Su family's resources are limited. We can't take out so many single-horned bulls at once. We only have 49 of them. So, Su Yun will have to temporarily ride a spirit stallion. How is this possible? Ching Er did not believe him. Such a big Su family, would they still lack a single-horned bull? This is impossible. Miss Ching Er is high and mighty. She doesn't know the hardships of her subordinates. If Miss Ching Er has the ability, she can go find a single-horned bull for herself. Su Shilong laughed. You. Ching Er was exasperated. Her delicate body trembled. She waved her hand and snorted. Since that's the case, then forget it. Young master, follow me on the carriage. As soon as these words fell, the entire hall was shocked. Although Ching Er's words were unintentional, it was obvious that she did not recognize Su Yun's current identity. If a man and a woman were to be in the same carriage, Ching Er's innocence would be ruined. Although Ching Er would not mind, the Su family would definitely not agree. Ching Er, how dare you? Without waiting for anyone to say anything, a loud voice came out from the carriage at the front. Ching Er was slightly stunned. She looked up and saw a skinny man with a small goatee and a protruding mouth and monkey cheeks coming out from the purple-horned beast carriage. This man was dressed luxuriously. His wrists, fingers, neck and ears were all adorned with all kinds of jewelry and treasures. Only his teeth were not covered with arrays. Greetings, second clan elder. Upon seeing this, the surrounding people hurriedly cupped their fists and bowed. Greetings, second clan elder. Ching Er was no exception. She bowed and greeted. In. The second clan elder walked over arrogantly with his hands clasped behind his back. He glanced left and right and said blandly, You may dispense with the formalities. Thank you, clan elder. Everyone exclaimed. The second clan elder's gaze swept across Su Yun and Ching Er. His pair of monkey eyes flashed a strange light. Ching Er, second clan elder, Ching Er is here. Ching Er said, Do you know your current identity? The second clan elder frowned and asked. Ching Er did not speak. You are now the young miss of the Su family. You are a member of the main house. You are someone that the patriarch has meticulously nurtured. Do you understand? And him, second clan elder Su Tai pointed at Su Yun and shouted, He is just an outer sect disciple. The difference in status between the two of you is too big. How can you let him get on your carriage so casually? How can you call him young master? Ching Er, don't tell me you don't have a bit of awareness. Don't you have a bit of modesty? Upon hearing this, Su Yun's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. He wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Ching Er. Second clan elder, what we need to discuss now is not this. It's the matter of our Su family participating in the meeting of heroes. Su Yun is the representative disciple of our Su family. If he were to ride a spirit stallion, he would definitely not be able to keep up with our pace. If he were to delay the competition, it would affect our Su family's reputation. That would be a huge problem. Compared to the Su family's reputation, what is Ching Er's reputation? So the most important thing now is to find a single horn bull for Su Yun. If everyone is unable to find a single horn bull for Su Yun, in order to protect the Su family's reputation, Ching Er will have to suffer. Ching Er said unhurriedly. Once she said that, everyone suddenly understood. Letting Su Yun get on the carriage was actually a trap set by Ching Er. If that was the case, then Ching Er was right. Even the Su family's reputation was brought out. How could she block it? You, Being rebutted by Qing Er, the second clan elder was rendered speechless. He could not agree to it. If he did not agree, Qing Er would let Su Yun into the carriage. Then the situation would be even worse. My Qing Er is still the smartest. Su Yun felt as though he had eaten honey. It was sweet and refreshing. The second clan elder did not know whether to say it or not. After a long while, he fiercely swung his sleeves and snorted, "Qing Er, I don't care. You're the young miss of the main house. You can't share a carriage with other men. As for the single horn bull, I'm sorry, I don't have one either. Su Yun, you can either ride this horse to participate in the meeting of heroes, or I'll take it as you disobeyed the Su family's orders and punish you according to the Su family's rules. Do as you see fit." "You, second clan elder, this is not appropriate. How can you do this?" Qing Er was enraged, but she was still the young miss of the main house. Her power was not as high as the clan elder. Even if she tried to reason with him, he would not listen. The second clan elder was stubborn. He did not care about Su Yun and Qing Er's thoughts. He did not care if Su Yun made a move. Previously, when he was not around, Su Yun dared to be arrogant. Now that there were so many main house guards here, what was there to be afraid of? If Su Yun did not comply, he could make a move. Forget it. Just then, Su Yun fiercely took a deep breath and said indifferently, "Since they're doing this, then accept it. It's just half a day later than you guys. It doesn't matter." "But, young master, it's all right, Qing Er. Just deal with this competition. It won't be long before we leave the Su family," he whispered to the young lady. Then, he turned and walked towards the spirit stallion that was standing in the middle of the herd of single horn bulls. Qing Er opened her mouth. Looking at Su Yun's relaxed voice, she sighed slightly. In the end, she did not say anything. After everyone arrived, 3 luxurious carriages pulled by purple-horned beasts arrived in front of the 50 participating disciples. The second clan elder, Su Tai, walked out of the carriage. Looking at the crowd, he started to give an impassioned speech. Su Yun stood at the back of the crowd. Looking at the other disciples who were riding on the sturdy and tall single-horn bulls, he could not help but feel suspicious. The matter had already blown up. Logically speaking, the second clan elder and the rest should not be persevering anymore. Wouldn't it solve all the problems if they just gave him a single horn bull? Why would they persevere? The Su family was so big. It was impossible for them to lack a single horn bull. If that was the case, they must have purposely arranged it this way. Was it to humiliate him? Was there a need for that? Su Shilong and the second clan elder Su Tai were such boring people. There must be something fishy going on. Su Yun thought hard, but after thinking for a long time, he still couldn't figure out their motive for doing so. Instead, it was second elder Su Tai who had finished speaking. After a while, a loud and clear shout rang out. "Let's go! Woo!" The outer sect of the Su family was filled with the sound of drums and horns. The huge Su family flag on the second clan elder's carriage fluttered in the wind. The team began to move. This time, the participating disciples were led by Su Dongfang. The team moved forward in a bustling manner. Although they did not move quickly, they were very orderly. The 3 carriages under the protection of the main house's elite guards were surrounded by the participating disciples. As for Su Yun, he was left at the back. The spirit stallion was the most commonly used mode of transportation. Buying a spirit stallion did not cost much spirit coins. However, compared to the single horn bull, its speed and endurance were a notch lower. When everyone in the team used the single horn bull, the disadvantage of the spirit stallion was exposed. Su Yun rode the spirit stallion. His speed was almost at its maximum, but it was still difficult to keep up with the team. Not only that, when the other single horn bulls were warming up, his own spirit stallion was already showing signs of fatigue. This was not the way to go. Su Yun looked at the advancing Su family team. He sighed and slowed down the speed of the spirit stallion. If this continued, the spirit stallion would definitely die of exhaustion. At this moment, the team was advancing in a desolate plain area. There were no villages or shops in front of them. If the spirit stallion died of exhaustion, they could only rely on their feet. However, the spirit stallion's speed slowed down. Su Yun was left far behind by the team. But what made him suspicious was that the team did not care about him at all. They went straight ahead, as if they did not notice that someone was left behind. It doesn't matter. If I'm late, then I'll be late. Since you gave me the spirit stallion, when the time comes, I can push the blame onto you. Suyin shook his head and got off the spirit stallion. He led the spirit stallion forward to give the spirit stallion some breathing space. Anyway, he knew the location of the meeting of heroes. It was the same for him to go. The Su family had set off 5 days earlier. In fact, they only needed to spend 4 days on the road. If they used the spirit stallion, they could reach in 5 days. There was plenty of time. The meeting of heroes was held at Wushuangju Peak. It was located in the center of the southern region. According to Su Yun's prediction, there should be a place near Wushuangju Peak where the mutual destruction of the 5 elements was located. It was not far away. Furthermore, this mutual destruction of the 5 elements was much bigger and stronger than the Julian district. It was just that Wushuangju Peak was surrounded by mountains. How difficult would it be to find the mutual destruction of the 5 elements? To go to Wushuangju Peak, they had to pass through Langxie City. They had to go to the city to see if there were any single horn bowls for sale. If there were, it would be better to exchange them as soon as possible. Su Yun thought as he led the spirit stallion. But just at this time, there was a burst of heavy hoofbeats in front of him. Su Yun was taken aback. He raised his head to look, only to see 3 well-equipped disciples of the main house. They were currently walking towards him with quick steps. The speed of a unicorn was pushed to its maximum. The 3 of them had an overbearing aura and were very powerful. "Oh, you guys finally know that I'm left behind?" Su Yun smiled. "But it's useless for you guys to look for me. I'm riding a spirit stallion. It's only this speed. It's useless for you guys to come. You can't possibly help my stallion's speed, right?" As he spoke, he walked towards the 3 of them. But after a few steps, he suddenly stopped. The smile on his face quickly disappeared. These 3 people, why did they not reply? And what was with their eyes? Su Yun's heart tightened. Chapter 139. The pair of cold eyes filled with killing intent locked onto Su Yun. They were like ferocious wolves that were about to attack. After going through so many battles, Su Yun was no longer the weak and inexperienced young man from before. How could he not feel the opponent's killing intent? With a wave of his hand, Thousand Deep Sword was unsheathed. The 3 main house disciples rode their bulls and rushed over. The single-horned bulls were overbearing and overflowing with power. It was extremely terrifying. The leader's expression was sinister. He immediately took out a flaming spear and rushed towards Su Yun, shouting angrily, "Su Yun, you hurt young master Su Donghao, despised the great clan elder, disregarded the Su family's rules, and trampled on the Su family's dignity. We are under the great clan elder's orders. I'm here to kill you. Kill." As the thunderous voice fell, the long spear stabbed forward like a meteor. Su Yun suddenly understood. Why did you let me ride a spirit stallion? Why did they refuse to replace him? His goal was to leave him behind so that these people could kill him. This was no longer the Su family's territory. Even if he died, he would have 1,000 excuses to cover it up. All right, good. So this was Elder's plan, good. Su Yun's heart was filled with resentment. Killing intent surged in his eyes. His eyes were red, his voice was as cold as a blade. He said fiercely, "Since it's like this, then I will not be lenient." With that, he brandished the death sword again. The sword rose into the sky, and the sky-splitting sword technique was unleashed. 2 real swords and 2 fake swords fiercely rippled forward. What? When the 3 main house disciples saw this, they were all stunned. They looked at the scene in astonishment. Flying swords to kill? Isn't this limitless sword lord's technique? Could it be? The 3 main house disciples were terrified. But as matters stood, they had no way out. The only thing they could do now was to kill Su Yun. The flintlock hit the ground and exploded, igniting all the weeds on the ground. Su Yun turned his body sideways. Both of his hands were constantly moving as he changed his hand seals. Pure divine spirit chi was released from his body as he controlled both swords to attack. The 3 of them attacked from the left, the middle, and the right, but he didn't panic. He activated the giant rock spirit core, and a gray light shot out from his eyes, directly hitting the body of the leftmost main house disciple. Crack! That disciple was instantly petrified. At that moment, the death sword and thousand deep sword flew over. Not good. The expression of the man in the middle changed greatly. He wanted to go over and cover for his disciple, but how could his speed keep up with the flying sword? Poochie! The flying sword pierced through the disciple's chest, and he immediately fell to the ground dead. When the other two saw this, their hearts trembled, and they were extremely shocked. Instead of attacking blindly, they retreated. What's your relationship with Limitless Sword Lord? The leading disciple of the main house, who was holding a flaming spear, gritted his teeth and asked, I am Limitless Sword Lord. Su Yun controlled the two swords and walked towards the two of them. The two of them had already seen his flying sword technique and could not leave them alive. If the news of him being Limitless Sword God were to spread, then the Immortal Sword Sect, the Su family, the Profound Sky Sect, and all the other sects would not let him go. After all, he had the Heavenly Crystal and the Everlasting Stone. Limitless Sword Lord. When the two of them heard this, their faces instantly turned deathly pale. No wonder you dared to touch Mr. Su Donghao. No wonder you have such a good relationship with the Pill King. No wonder you dared to provoke the great clan elder. So you are the Sword Lord. One of them murmured, his eyes filled with fear. I never thought that the person the great clan elder wanted us to deal with was actually you. The man holding the flaming spear snorted and said, But now that things have come to this, we have no other way out. Even if you are Limitless Sword Lord, between us and you, one of us has to die. It will be you. Su Yin said indifferently, and then his figure suddenly moved, and in a blink of an eye, he landed in between the two of them. With a wave of his palm, a large amount of pure divine spirit chi shot out from his body, and in a blink of an eye, it pierced through the hearts, brains, and the top of their heads. Thousand deep sword flew, and in a blink of an eye, it moved millions of times, like a tornado spinning. Creak, creak, creak. The purple-horned beast pulled the carriage and let out a low growl, and then entered the bustling and vast city in front of it. Wushuang City, the only city at the bottom of Wushuang Ju Peak. At this moment, the city had already gathered all the sects, powerhouses, and families from the southern region. One after another, people would leave Wushuang City and head towards Wushuang Ju Peak and be the first to enter. But according to the customs of the Meeting of Heroes, the various sects would usually let their disciples enter Wushuang Ju Peak first and let them stay there for a day and a half. And then the person in charge, the elders and the others would enter Wushuang Ju Peak. The reason for doing so was naturally simple, to let them fight and kill, to let the conflict intensify, and let them be trained. With the start of the competition, the various sects were naturally full of confidence, proud and arrogant. No one was willing to submit to anyone. Of course, the disciples were like that, and the elders and attendants were also like that. If they were present, then they represented their own sects and powerhouses. If they were not present, then they were just a group of young disciples. Young people were young and hot-blooded. They would quarrel, and even if they fought, it would not be a big deal, so they would let them fight if they won. Then they would be proud. If they lost, then they would be disgraced. This custom was known as the warm-up competition by the spirit cultivators and was always the focus of many people. In front of a private room, the person in charge had already entered the private room and arranged the rooms. For the next day, Su Tai Hui and Su Shilong would be here to enjoy themselves and wait for the meeting to officially start, while the rest of the participating disciples would rest for a while, then be led by Su Qing Er and Su Dongfang and rush towards Wushuang Ju Peak. In front of the gates of Wushuang City, Su Qing Er, who was dressed in a snow-white Blade Master outfit, stood tall and straight. She tiptoed and looked into the distance, but there were always flashes of heads, and some figures were approaching, but it was not the person she was looking for. Qing Er. A gentle voice called out from behind. Qing Er turned her head to look and saw Su Dongfang leading two main house disciples over. Su Dongfang, who had a face full of smiles, coupled with his handsome face and luxurious robes, looked very charming and all the female disciples from other sects who passed by would look at him. Qing Er, who had her back facing Su Dongfang, had a bitter look on her face, and when she turned around, she had already changed into a calm and indifferent expression. Master Dongfang. Qing Er bowed lightly. Qing Er, why are you so polite? Just call me Dongfang. Su Dongfang smiled and said gently, what are you doing here? There are crooks mixed in with the honest folks here. It's very inconvenient for a girl like you to be here. Qing Er's expression did not change and said lightly, Master Dongfang is too polite, although Qing Er is a girl, but I have some cultivation. Haha, that's true. Qing Er, you're the genius of our Su family. Su Dongfang laughed, his eyeballs turned, and suddenly asked, Qing Er, there's still an hour before we leave for Wushuangju Peak. Before that, I prepared a banquet and let everyone drink to their heart's content as a celebration for this competition. Looking forward to getting a good result. Can you accompany me to participate? Su Dongfang's eyes shone with sincerity, and his expression was sincere, without any pretense. Just that. Qing Er's expression did not change. She tilted her head slightly and stared into the distance and muttered, Young master has yet to reach Wushuang City. With the speed of the spirit stallion, he should be arriving soon. I want to wait for him here, wait for him to come back. Then we'll talk. Su Yun. Su Dongfang's eyes flashed a dense resentment, but he did not show it and said lightly, We can go to the banquet to wait for him. I believe he'll be back soon. Let's go first. After that, Su Dongfang extended his hand and wanted to hug Qing Er's shoulder. But Qing Er cleverly avoided it and muttered, Master Dongfang, men and women should not touch. Please respect yourself. Su Dongfang was startled, laughed a few times, and said, Don't misunderstand. Qing Er, I didn't mean it that way. If that's the case, then forget it. I'll go first. If Su Yin comes back, you can bring him over. With that, Su Dongfang did not stay for long and turned to leave. Qing Er was still standing in front of the door like a rock, waiting for the people in the distance. She really refuses a toast, only to be forced to drink a forfeit. She was originally a maid in the outer sect. In terms of status, she is so lowly, I did not expect that she would dare to disobey a young master today. The main house disciple at the side said with righteous indignation, This girl's attitude is terrible, and she disregards young master. Young master, why are you still so polite to her? You are the son of the great clan elder. To be able to fancy her is her good fortune. What's so good about Su Yun? She really has eyes, but cannot see. Young master, since this girl is so stubborn, why don't you go all the way and take her by force? Let's see how she can still put up a front. Yes, young master, you have a high status. Why are you afraid of her? The two of them spoke one after another and did not stop talking. Shut up, Su Dongfang, who had a black face, bellowed. The two of them trembled and became mute. He raised his head, looked at the two of them, and his face darkened. He snorted and walked away without saying a word. Weird. The two main house disciples looked at Su Dongfang in confusion, and their hearts were full of doubts. Qing Er stood in front of the door for a long time, and one after another, there were many disciples from other sects who tried to strike up a conversation, but she always politely rejected them, and then continued to wait until the disciples left for Wushuangju Mountain. That person still had not returned. Qing Er faintly sighed and could only turn and leave. It was time. The Su family disciples were in formation. With Qing Er and Su Dongfang as the leaders, they started to walk out of Wushuangju Mountain and headed towards Wushuangju Mountain. The group gradually went far away. Su Tai and Su Shilong were still standing at the entrance of the private room, and on their left and right were all experts from the main house, and their aura was extraordinary. I wonder what rank we can get this time. Su Tai sighed, and with a look of disdain, he shouted, Just don't be too ugly. Our Su family can't compare to the other sections. Su Shilong heard, laughed, and did not dare to reply. Seeing the disciples walking far away, the two of them turned and planned to return to the private room to rest. Dee-da, Just then a burst of crisp hoofbeats sounded out. In a quiet private room, it was especially ear-piercing. The two of them looked over and saw a white blade master clothed, still stained with blood, riding a spirit stallion, with an evil smile on his face, walking over. That person's eyes were glistening, staring at the two of them, and in the depth of his pupils was sinister and cold. When Su Tai and Su Shilong saw, their eyes shrunk, and their faces instantly turned pale. "This is impossible," Su Tai muttered. "Su Yun is actually still alive? Incredible." As soon as he sat down in the hall, he received a cup of spirit tea from a servant and waved the servants away. He took a sip and suppressed his shock. Su Shilong took a deep breath, raised his slightly old eyes, and asked, "How are Hua Fong and the others? Why haven't you returned yet?" "Still not returning?" Su Tai snorted. "Can't you tell? Su Yun had already killed the three of them. The blood on his body must be Su Hua Fong and the rest's. This is impossible." Su Shilong almost stood up from his chair and growled. "Those were three main house disciples. It is true that Su Yun can fight against the inner sect disciples, but when did he fight against the main house disciples? And it was 1 against 3? Impossible." "Impossible?" Su Tai's eyes flashed with a trace of complexity. He shook his head and said, "I also hope that this is fake. But there is something I must tell you. Although my cultivation level is the lowest among all the clan elders, I am still a 5th stage spirit core disciple. But even so, I cannot see through Su Yun's cultivation level." "You can't see through?" Su Shilong was shocked. He looked at Su Tai uncertainly. Su Tai helplessly nodded his head. "It is possible that he is wearing a treasure that hides his cultivation level. It is also possible that he has already surpassed the 5th stage spirit core disciple. I'm not sure, but I know that the three of them are most likely dead." Su Shilong sat down on his chair. His mind was in a mess. But after a while, his chaotic state of mind recovered. Su Shilong's face congealed. With a solemn expression, he said, "Second clan elder, no matter how high Su Yun's cultivation level is, no matter how strong he is, so what? We have so many experts from the main house here. In for a penny, in for a pound." Su Shilong made a gesture of cutting his throat. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Upon seeing this, Su Tai became silent. After a long while, he opened his mouth and said in distress, "Su Yun has offended the great clan elder. It is already a death sentence. Letting him die outside is also the great clan elder's idea. But if we cannot kill him in the open, we can only do it secretly. But he has already gone to Wu Shuangju Peak to meet with the other Su family disciples. We have no chance to kill him. Second clan elder, what are you worried about?" Su Shilong laughed. "Although he bought the single horn bull and his speed is faster than the spirit stallion, but we still have 2 purple horn beasts. If he sent 2 of the top experts of the guards to ride the single horn bull and chase after him without stopping, they would definitely be able to kill him before he met up with his disciple. The experts in our guards are at the 6th stage of the spirit core disciple. With 2 people and 2 purple horn beasts, we can definitely kill him." Upon hearing this, Su Tai's eyes lit up. "All right, since it is so, we will do as you say. If we do not kill Su Yun, it will be hard for us to answer to the great clan elder. Quick, arrange for Bai Jian and He Guang to go. Quick." "Don't worry, master. Leave it to Shilong." Su Shilong stood up and nodded. Then he walked out. Upon seeing this, Su Tai heaved a sigh of relief. Since the matter was settled, he was much more relaxed. He sat on the chair and stretched his body. He was a person who liked to enjoy life. To be able to sit in this position, he relied on his father's management of the Su family. He had gained many merits, so he took up this position. Su Tai did not like to cultivate. He liked beauties. Thus, his cultivation level was the lowest among the clan elders. But fortunately, he was a slick person. He could handle some matters in the Su family properly. The patriarch and the great clan elder did not say anything. "Sigh, after settling this brat Su Yun, we can just casually get a ranking and we can return to the Su family. When that time comes, we must enjoy ourselves." Su Tai stood up and walked towards his own room. At this time, There is nothing more comfortable than a good night's sleep. Kacha. The room door was opened. The interior of the elegantly decorated room was filled with an intoxicating fragrance. The interior of the room was extremely luxurious. Every piece of furniture had an intricate array blessing, and on the huge bed in the room, a petite figure had her back facing him. Half covered and half exposed, she was lying on her side. Obviously, this was the woman who was arranged to serve the second clan elder. Upon seeing this, Su Tai's sunken eyes emitted a golden light. He rubbed his hands together and licked his lips. Hee, this outer sect person is quite smart. He knows that I like this kind of stuff. Su Tai laughed. As he took off the treasures on his body, he hurriedly walked towards the bed. Little beauty, I'm coming. Su Tai could not wait and ran to the side of the bed. His withered hands caressed the lady's smooth back. Then, he flipped the lady over, intending to take good care of her. But when the lady flipped over, Su Tai was shocked to find out that her eyes were tightly shut. She had no strength left in her body. She had actually fainted. What? Su Tai's heart jumped. As though he thought of something, he hurriedly stood up and turned to leave. But just as he turned around, two swords suddenly soared into the air and slashed at his arms in a flash. Su Tai hurriedly raised his hand to activate his magic treasure, preparing to defend against this incoming sword. However, the moment he raised his hand, he realized with a pale face that all the magic treasures in his hand had already been taken off. Those colorful and dazzling magic treasures had all been thrown on the ground, just a few meters in front of him. Poochie! A wrist flew up. An extremely miserable cry rang out. Su Tai was in so much pain that he broke out in cold sweat. In the next second, a cold sword was placed on his neck. A man wearing a black Blade Master outfit and a cold iron mask stood silently in front of him. Shoo! The iron-masked man placed his index finger in front of his lips, gesturing for him to be quiet. Seeing this, Su Tai clenched his teeth and endured the pain, not daring to make a sound. Bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. A series of violent knocking sounds came from the door. Second Elder, what's going on? Second Elder. Second Elder. Are you all right? Su Shilong and a large number of Su family guards ran over, knocking on the door and shouting. Dismiss them. A low voice came out from the masked man's mouth. When a voice came out, the sword on his neck could not help but exert force and press downwards. Su Tai's face was extremely pale. He secretly swallowed his saliva. How would he dare to be negligent? He hurriedly shouted, I'm fine, all of you can leave. I'm fine, all of you leave quickly. Oh, really? But that scream, all of you scram. The second elder scolded angrily. Ugh. Yes, subordinate will take his leave. Su Shilong and the rest who were outside did not dare to disturb him anymore. They probably thought of what Su Tai might be doing now. One by one, they laughed softly and left. The outside of the house became quiet again. Very good. The iron-masked man smiled and nodded. He took out a pill from his storage ring. Without saying a word, he stuffed it into Su Tai's mouth. Su Tai initially wanted to keep his mouth shut and not swallow the pill, but he felt the sword pressing down a little more, as though it was going to slice his neck open. He immediately opened his mouth. Gulp! When the pill entered his stomach, he immediately felt a burning sensation. Seeing this, the iron-masked man kept his sword. What did you give me to eat? Su Tai pinched his throat with one hand and screamed in pain. Poison. The man picked up Su Tai's arm that was on the floor. He grabbed his broken arm and put it back together. Then he used his profound spirit chi to heal the skin and flesh. The bones and tendons inside were still broken. You can't cure me. I need a better spirit doctor. Su Tai said in pain. I did this to hide your broken arm. Before the grand meet ends, you don't need one. The iron-masked man released his hand. Su Tai held on to his broken arm. He clenched his teeth and stared at the iron-masked man. He asked, Who are you? Second Elder. You don't recognize me anymore? The iron-masked man extended his hand and took off his mask. A sinister face was revealed. When Su Tai saw it, he was petrified and he was stunned. Chapter 141. Su Yun, why is it you? Su Tai shouted. His legs were trembling and his voice was trembling. Didn't you go to Wushuangju Peak? Although Su Tai was a fifth-stage spirit core disciple, he did not have any treasures and was ambushed by Su Yin. He was careless and lost an arm. Furthermore, he was being controlled by Su Tai. Even if he wanted to retaliate, it would be extremely difficult. Su Yin casually sat on the chair and looked at the second clan elder who was half naked and said, "Go to Wushuangju Peak? If I really went, I'm afraid I would have died halfway, right?" Su Tai's face changed, but he did not say a word. He also understood. Su Yin must have known that they would still try to kill him. So he decided to return halfway, sneak into the pavilion, and find him for revenge. "What did you give me to eat? What did you give me to eat?" Su Tai suddenly asked. "Didn't I say it? Poison." Su Yin poured himself a cup of tea and said indifferently. Su Tai's face turned from white to green. He anxiously said, "Quickly give me the antidote." "Antidote?" Su Yin laughed. "I don't have the antidote, but I have a pill that can temporarily suppress the poison in your body. If you eat this pill, you can live for a few more days. If you don't, you will probably die tomorrow." Hearing that, Su Tai was completely dumbfounded. His heart was in a mess. He clenched his teeth. "How can you give me the antidote? If you do a few things for me, I'll give you the antidote and let you live." Su Yin said, "A few things?" Su Tai asked anxiously, "What things?" "I'll tell you in the future. Let's see if you're willing to cooperate." Su Tai hesitated. He hesitated for a long time before saying, "How can I trust you? What if you lie to me?" "Lie to you? Are you afraid I won't give you the antidote?" Su Yin said, "I can concoct the antidote in front of you for you to consume. Furthermore, you and I have no enmity. Why must I kill you? I understand. You wanted to kill me because of the great clan elder, right? If we don't talk about the great clan elder, we're from the same clan?" "Yes, yes, yes, yes." Su Tai nodded his head anxiously. "Since that's the case, there's no need for me to kill you. As long as you're willing to cooperate, you can live, and I can live too." Su Yin patted his shoulder and said, "My final goal is to leave the Su family. As for the enmity, I don't care. If you have thought it through, then bring her away. I will help you concoct a pill to alleviate the poison. If you haven't thought it through, I will go to Wushuangju Peak to participate in the competition. I hope that the person in charge of the Su family can safely ascend the mountain tomorrow." Since Su Yin had said that, what else could Su Tai say? He hurriedly agreed. Enduring the pain coming from the broken part of his right hand, he walked over to the woman lying on the bed and woke her up. After driving her away, he closed the door. "Very good." Su Yin nodded and did not stand on ceremony. He immediately took out the purple cloud pill furnace from his storage ring and placed it in the pavilion. He then took out some materials from his storage ring and began to refine pills. First, he dispensed the medicine. Then, he adjusted the medicine. Mash. Blood dripped. Su Tai was bewildered at the sight of every step he took. Why does Su Yin know how to concoct pills? I heard that he has a good relationship with the people of Blossom Heart Valley. Is he learning from Blossom Heart Valley? But he is an outer sect disciple. Why would he mix around with the people of Blossom Heart Valley? Su Tai did not understand. At the same time, Su Yin, who was concocting the ingredients for the pill, had a myriad of thoughts in his mind. The great clan elder was determined to kill him. It seemed like he could not stay in the Su family any longer. He had to leave the Su family. Although the second clan elder was an elder, he was short-sighted and weak. Maybe he could use him to bring Qing heir away from his Su family. His relationship with the Pill King of Blossom Heart Valley was not shallow. After leaving the Su family, he could seek refuge with the Pill King and hide for the time being. Once he was fully prepared, he could hide with Qing heir and hide in a place with no one around. Thinking about it, Su Yun made a decision. After a joss stick worth of time, the ingredients were all prepared. Su Yun used his profound spirit qi to seal the bleeding wound on his wrist. Then, he threw the bowl of ingredients that were soaked in blood into the pill furnace. Then, he started to draw an array and fill in the patterns. All of his actions were smooth and skillful. After the array was formed, he started to activate the array. The pill furnace emitted a strange, thin, black smoke. Su Yun opened the window and quietly sent it out. Then he used his profound spirit chi to disperse the smoke so that no one would notice. For hours later, the pill furnace made a light sound. The pill was done. Seeing that, Sutai could not wait and ran to the side of the pill furnace. He shouted, "Quickly open the pill furnace." Suya nodded. He turned the switch and opened the pill furnace. Sutai impatiently reached into the furnace and fished out a pitch-black round pill. Then, he stuffed it into his mouth. That look was like a starving man who had not eaten for a few days, seeing a bone. Gudong. The pearl entered his stomach. Sutai blinked his mouth and licked his lips. He said curiously, "So sweet." "Of course." Suya nodded. "Good medicine tastes bitter. Sweet is naturally poison." "Poison?" Sutai's face turned green. "What are you doing?" "I'm sorry." Su Yun laughed awkwardly. "Actually, I came back to take revenge on you on the spur of the moment. I did not prepare any poison. My intention was to kill you or Su Shilong. But after thinking about it, it would be better to use you. So I just took a pill to fool you. The pill that you ate previously was a chi-increasing pill produced by Blossom Heart Valley. And the pill that you just ate is a genuine poison pill." "Su Yun, you bastard!" he roared. On a vast land, there was a towering mountain peak that pierced through the clouds. It was as though it was going to pierce a hole in the sky. The mountain peak was extremely tall. The surrounding mountains were like the bright moon and the stars. White clouds surrounded the mountain and floated around. Occasionally, a few strong spirit birds could barely fly to the waist of the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, a group of 10 people were walking on the rugged mountain path towards the mountain peak. So. Just then, the sound of swords whistling could be heard in the sky. Following that, flying swords could be seen flying from afar towards the mountain peak. Every sword was wrapped in a cyclone. On every sword, there was a person dressed in a beautiful blade master robe. "Look, it's the disciples of the immortal sword sect." Tisk tsk. We painstakingly climbed up the mountain, but someone just stepped on a sword and slipped up. Sai, who asked our Su family to not have the imperial sword technique. Imperial sword technique? I'm afraid only the people from the immortal sword sect know it. Che, who said that? Other than the people from the immortal sword sect, even the limitless sword lord knows it. The limitless sword lord not only knows how to fly, but he also knows how to kill people. He can even take the head of the enemy from 1,000 miles away. In front of the limitless sword lord, the people from the immortal sword sect pale in comparison. The Su family was in a heated discussion. Looking at the elegant figures in the sky, everyone's eyes revealed envy and amazement. Many people were jealous and wished that they could learn the imperial sword technique. "Don't bother with the others. Let's go." A disciple of the main house shouted at the inner sect disciples. The inner sect disciples looked at him and did not say anything. They continued to move forward. Su Dongfang and Qing Er rode on the single horn bull and walked to the front of the group. The single horn bull had cultivation. Even if the mountain path was rugged, it could walk on flat ground. Although the peak of Wushuangju was extremely high, it did not take long to reach it. "Qing Er, is this your first time participating in the meeting of heroes?" Su Dongfang rode the single horn bull to Qing Er's side and asked with a smile. Qing Er looked indifferently in front of her. Her lips parted slightly. Could it be that Master Dongfang has participated before? Hee. Su Dongfang laughed awkwardly and said, 3 years ago, it was my father who was in charge of the meeting of heroes. I had the luck to follow my elder brothers to participate in the meeting of heroes. Now that my elder brothers have become the pillars of the Su family, I hope that after this, we can become the useful talents of the Su family." Su Dongfang's words were extremely beautiful. He did not reveal his competitive attitude, but it made people feel that he was extraordinary. Qing Er looked at him, but did not say a word. Although the beauty was cold, Su Dongfang did not give up. He continued to talk incessantly. He only hoped to attract the attention of the beauty. The Su family rode their mounts up the mountain. Their speed was fast. Very quickly, they met up with the sect in front of them. They were disciples from the 3 items deity palace. These disciples were all dressed luxuriously. Their bodies were filled with treasures. Every step they took was extremely heavy. Every step they took left a footprint. The three items deity palace disciples were famous for controlling treasures. It was rumored that they could control multiple treasures at the same time. The more treasures they could control, the stronger the person was. It was rumored that the three items deity palace's master could control hundreds of treasures at the same time. When they were activated at the same time, the power produced could change the color of heaven and earth. Because of the uniqueness of the three items deity palace, they were very strict in recruiting disciples. The conditions were harsh. Firstly, they had to be born with a treasure body. Their sensitivity to treasures had to be 10 times that of an ordinary person. Because of that, the three items deity palace would recruit disciples every year. But the number of disciples they recruited was very few. The number of people in the sect was small. No matter how strong a single person was, their overall strength would not be that strong. Hence, the three items deity palace's overall strength was not high in the southern region. It could not even be compared to the Sioux family. The disciples all had the treasures that they had collected or given out by the sect. Everyone had a body full of treasures. The majority of the treasures emitted a weird chi. If they rode on it, the chi would scare the mounts. Hence, when they were climbing Wu Shuang Ju Peak, the three items deity palace disciples were not like the Sioux family. They all chose to walk. If they rode on the mounts would be scared by the chi of the treasures and run down the mountain stream. That would be troublesome. Looking at the group of people crawling forward like snails, Su Dongfang's expression became impatient. He looked at a main house disciple beside him. The main house disciple nodded his head lightly. He understood and rode his single horn bull over. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Don't block the path. Stand aside first. Wait for us to pass before you pass. Get out of the way. The main house disciple ran over and shouted at the three items deity palace people. The mountain path was so narrow. On one side was a cliff, and on the other was a cliff. Naturally, they could not disturb them by going around. They could only let the crowd move to the side so that the single horn bull could pass. Hearing the main house disciple shout, the three items deity palace people stopped in their tracks. They turned their heads and looked at the Sioux family people. There were only 30-plus people in three items deity palace, but every single one of them had an abnormally dense chi. They were all experts. What's the ruckus? What's the ruckus? This path is for people to walk. Why should we give way to you? A loud voice came from behind. Then a tall and skinny young man with a mustache walked out. He looked like a counselor. The man was dressed in a kasha robe. He had a bracelet on his hand and rings on his fingers. He wore a black hat on his head and had a small braid on his back. He stroked his beard and walked out. Big senior brother, big senior brother. The three items deity palace people on both sides shouted. The man nodded his head. He blinked his mouth and walked toward the main house disciple. Oh, it's actually the Sioux family. When a man saw the token hanging on the waist of this group of people, he suddenly laughed heartlessly. Chapter 142. What's so funny? Seeing the person who looked like the advisor sizing him up and revealing such a smile, the proud main house disciple was immediately unhappy and snorted. Laugh? Of course it's funny. The advisor crossed his arms with a mocking look. I'm laughing at your Sioux family for not knowing what's good for you. With such a low cultivation level, yet you're so arrogant. Aren't you afraid of death? Aren't you afraid of the other sects teaching you how to be human? The main house disciple heard and immediately became flustered, his face full of anger. The people from three items deity palace are so arrogant. Su Dongfang could not stand it anymore and urged his single horn bull to walk over and stared at the advisor and snorted. You people from three items deity palace are walking slowly, so you're occupying the road and you want us to follow behind you? If other sects see this, they would think that my Sioux family is afraid of you. If this spreads, how can my Sioux family stand? Oh, that's it. Heh, I didn't say we can't. The mustached advisor crossed his arms and said, however, why didn't you tell us politely if you wanted to pass by? What? You think our three items deity palace is easy to bully? Hee hee. If that's the case, we're really not afraid. You want to walk in front? Sure, then let's fight. Anyway, the masters and elders let us fight first. Originally, we were prepared to put our energy on exuding fire sect, but seeing your Su family being so arrogant, then let's use some energy to teach you guys a lesson. The advisor spoke casually and looked at Su Dongfang as though he did not see him as a threat. Su Dongfang was furious, snorted, and got off the horse, intending to spar with him. Just then, a clear and beautiful voice came out. Stop! The voice was like the chirping of an oriole, like the wind blowing a bell. It was extremely sweet, and it shook people's hearts, extremely intoxicating. Everyone looked towards the direction of the voice, and saw Qing Er had already gotten off the horse and was walking towards them. When the people from 3 Items Deity Palace saw her, their eyes lit up. What a beautiful and adorable person. A young girl dressed in a snow-white Blade Master uniform without any makeup. Yet she was so beautiful that it could enchant one's heart, was walking towards the Grand Master with light and steady steps. When he got closer, he stopped in his tracks and bowed gracefully with both hands. He was neither servile nor overbearing, and his etiquette was on point. Su family's Qing Er pays her respects to the cultivators of 3 Items Deity Palace. The advisor's face immediately surfaced to smile. He nodded and cupped his fists. I am 3 Items Deity Palace's Chu Qiuyi. Miss Qing Er, nice to meet you. It's Senior Brother Chu. Qing Er smiled and said, Senior Chu, this is just a misunderstanding. I hope that everyone will not get angry. If there's anything, we can talk about it slowly. After all, the 3 Items Deity Palace and the Su family have a good relationship. If this small matter causes a conflict between the 2 families, then it's not worth it. Haha, this is not a misunderstanding. Miss Qing Er, I think your Su family is just looking for trouble. What did you say? Su Dongfang frowned and was about to explode again. But Qing Er cut him off and said gently, Senior Brother Chu must be joking. I definitely do not have such intentions. The big road leads to the sky. Anyone can walk it, senior brothers and sisters from 3 Items Deity Palace. Please go ahead. I will follow behind without any complaints. With that, Qing Er whispered to Su Dongfang. Master Dongfang, let it go. Why? Qing Er, I'm not afraid of him. Su Dongfang said angrily. I can't tell Chu Qiuyi's cultivation level. It's definitely higher than mine. Adding his treasures, his fighting strength is even stronger. Our team's experts are still with the clan elder. Just based on the people here, no one is his opponent. If we go against him, we will only suffer. Qing Er frowned and said, I can't tell. Maybe it's because of his treasures. No matter if it's a treasure or not, it's best not to cross swords with someone we don't know of. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win 100 battles. Hearing that, Su Dongfang was even angrier. But to maintain his image in front of the beautiful woman, he took a few deep breaths and snorted. Without saying a word, he turned around and returned to his single-horn bull. The Su family gave up. Seeing that, Chu Qiuyi smiled again. He looked at the calm Qing Er, then looked at the angry Su Dongfang, laughed out loud, waved his hand, and led the 3 Items Deity Palace disciples to continue their journey. When they reached the peak of the mountain, it was already half an hour later. The clouds lingered around them, and the wind blew from afar. Stepping on the peak of Wushuangju was really like stepping on the peak of Wushuangju, walking on the clouds, looking down on the world. On the gigantic Wushuangju peak, there were 4 statues, and in the middle of the statues, there was a gigantic battle array. Outside the array, the disciples of various sects were drawing the array for their own sects, using it as a resting place for the clan elder in charge. It was the same for all the sections. Occasionally, there would be familiar sects that would gather together to chat. Of course, there were also sects that had grudges with each other and would fight on Wushuangju Peak. But the ones who fought were usually the weaker participants. The real experts from the sects were mostly calm and focused and would not move even if the sky collapsed. They wanted to preserve their strength for the real battle. A snow-white jade chair was taken out from the storage ring and was carefully placed in the middle of the spirit-gathering array by the Su family. The jade chair was a treasure, and when people sat on it, Not only would it be extremely comfortable, it could also relieve fatigue, clear the tendons, refresh the mind, and nourish the body. This chair was specially used for the representatives of the sex to sit on. And in front of the jade chair, about 10 meters away, there were 10 identical healing enchantments. The enchantment was like a tortoise shell, about 2 meters tall, and covered the ground. Inside the enchantment, there were 3 healing enchantments that intertwined to form a healing spiritual array. If a person were to meditate in it, his damaged skin and flesh would quickly recover, and even broken bones would heal in a short period of time. It could be said to be an extremely high-level healing enchantment. But this kind of enchantment required extremely expensive materials to operate. The main materials of the enchantment were white clear stone and purple pine wood. White clear stone required 3,300 pieces, and each piece of white clear stone had a market price of 200 spirit coins, and purple pine wood had a market price of 100,000 spirit coins. In other words, just one healing enchantment would cost more than 700,000 spirit coins. What made people speechless was these healing enchantments were continuous, and every time it was activated, it would consume a certain amount of materials until it completely disappeared. It must be said, ordinary people would not be able to use this kind of enchantment, and only the big clans and sects would be able to set it up. Young Master, the Elder Chair is ready. Young Master, the Sioux family's 7-dragon banner is ready. Young Master, the healing enchantment is ready. One by one, voices rang out. Very good. Su Dongfang, who was standing in front, turned his head, walked over, and checked the things. The facade must be done well. This was the unwritten rule of the meeting of heroes. A good facade could give the sect a lot of face. After a while, Su Dongfang nodded his head in satisfaction and said, "Not bad. I believe the second clan elder will be satisfied too. All of you go and meditate and recuperate. In another 12 hours, the clan elders will reach the peak of the mountain, and the competition will begin." "Yes, young master." The main house disciples nodded their heads and sat down one by one. At the back of the jade chair, there were a few simple arrays, although it could not be compared to the jade chair, but it was still comfortable for people to sit in. Everything was settled, and Su Dongfang ran to harass Qing'er. But the peaceful moment would not last long. A group of Stellar Sun Mountain's disciples were running over-aggressively. The people of Stellar Sun Mountain were strong, cultivating true divine spirit qi. All of them were tall and sturdy, with a tiger's back and a bear's waist. Even the females were at least 8 meters tall. A group of small giants walking over really gave people a lot of pressure. Qing'er and a few female disciples of the Su family sat together, seeing the group of people walking over. They all looked at each other, their faces full of suspicion. "Su family, get your Su family bastard Su Shuai-Chong out here." The leader was a strong man with a crew cut, a face full of meat, a height of more than 2 meters, pointed at the Su family and shouted, "F*CK your mother Lu Yu Zhu. What the F*CK are you called?" A few main house disciples stood up from the array, with a face full of anger, rushed out of the array, and confronted the strong man, shouting and scolding. It seemed like these two groups of people were old acquaintances. The people of the Su family gathered around, but the people from Stellar Sun Mountain were not to be trifled with. The disciples from the sect's great formation also rushed over. There were about 100 of them. Both sides confronted. The less than 50 people of the Su family had already lost in terms of vigor. Su Dongfang's face was slightly pale and looked at Qing'er. Qing'er shook her head lightly and retreated. Previously on the mountain road, when they quarreled with the people from 3 Items Deity Palace, it was just a small matter. Qing'er would come out to settle it. But now it was not a small matter. It was a private matter. Why would she come out to settle it? Shuai-Chong, what exactly happened? Su Dongfang took a deep breath and asked, "You're the person in charge of the Su family?" The strong man rushed to Su Dongfang and asked, "Yes, have fun. Today, I'll tell everyone about this bastard from the Su family." The strong man sneered and then shouted with a rough voice, "Everyone listen. A few days ago, the Su family bastard, Su Shuai-Chong, went to Four Corner City to settle some matters and met my sister in the city. He coveted my sister's beauty and used the good relationship between Stellar Sun Mountain and the Su family to talk to my sister, and did not let go. This Su Shui-chang did not even look at himself. He is a crook and actually coveted my sister's beauty. My sister ignored him, and this Su Shui-chang actually used despicable methods and bought forbidden drugs to force my sister to submit. Luckily, my sister's senior sister found out early and saved my sister and chased Su Shui-chang away, so she was able to keep her innocence. But even so, my sister is in a trance every day, and she is getting more and more haggard. Everyone, let's discuss this kind of scum. Should he be beaten? Should he be killed? The burly man shouted at the top of his lungs. The sects that were nearby all stood up and looked over. Kill! 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 The people from Stellar Sun Mountain all shouted, and their voices were like thunder. The main house disciple named Su Shui-chang's face turned green, and he did not know what to say. Shui-chang, is what he said true? The disciples from the Su family all asked. Su Shui-chang hesitated for a while, and suddenly shouted with determination, "No, of course not." When the Su family saw that, they all heaved a sigh of relief. You still dare to argue? Lying with your eyes open? The strong man was instantly angry. If you want to say that I humiliated your sister, then show me the evidence. If not, then you are framing me. Su Shui-chang clenched his teeth and said calmly. At this moment, he could not admit it. Even if he did, he had to pretend that he did not do it, or else his reputation would be ruined. Su Shui-chang's refusal to admit it completely angered the people from Stellar Sun Mountain. Seeing that he was so despicable and shameless, all of them could not control their emotions. Mother of asterisk her, boy, you are looking for death. The strong man spat on the ground and then waved his hand. In a moment, the people from Stellar Sun Mountain spread out and surrounded the Su family in the middle. Today, I am going to challenge your Su family. The strong man used his thick finger to point at the Su family and shouted, "Come, you bastard from the Su family. Today, I will let you know that the people from Stellar Sun Mountain are not people you can provoke." Chapter 143. Do. A light knocking sound came from the door. Following that, Su Shilong's respectful voice came from outside the door. Is it Shilong? Come in quickly. Su Tai's voice came from inside the house. Yes, second clan elder. Su Shilong replied respectfully, then carefully pushed the door open and walked in. Inside the house, Su Tai sat quietly in front of the tea table. His face was pale and his eyes were dark. He seemed to be extremely tired. Deep in his eyes, there was a deep sense of tiredness. Su Shilong was shocked when he saw that. Master, what's wrong? Why do you look so pale? Oh, nothing. I was just too tired yesterday. Su Tai revealed an ugly smile. He then extended his left hand and extended it to his right hand that was resting on his thigh. He touched his storage ring and took out a black round pill and gave it to Su Shilong. Shilong, you've done your best for our Su family. You've worked so hard for our Su family. You've worked so hard. To reward you, I will give you this pill to help you increase your cultivation level. It's a blessing. Pill. Su Shilong's eyes flashed with suspicion. He looked at the black pill and asked, Master, what pill is this? You'll know once you take it. Su Tai's eyes were burning and his expression was solemn. Su Shilong hesitated for a moment. After weighing the pros and cons, he clenched his teeth and swallowed the pill. Gulp. When the pill entered his stomach, Su Shilong cupped his fists again. Thank you, second clan elder, for bestowing the pill. His voice was respectful and sincere. No need to thank him. Just thank me. Just then, a voice came out from inside the house. Su Shilong was shocked. He quickly turned his head and saw a person walking out from behind the screen. This person was dressed in a black blade master robe. He carried a sword on his back and a sword sheath. In his hand, there was a bright and slender sword. His chi did not leak out at all. As long as he hid himself, others would not be able to sense his presence. You're Su Yin? Su Shilong saw the person's face. His eyes widened. He stood up from the ground and was about to make a move. Don't move. Without waiting for him to speak, second clan elder Su Tai bellowed. Su Shilong turned his head and looked at Su Tai. his eyes filled with surprise. "You've all taken my medicine. If you won't live, help me do a few things for the time being." Suyin said softly. Bang! A muffled sound came out from a southern region of Wushuangju Peak. On the other end, a large group of people formed a large circle, as if they were watching something. Within this large circle, two figures were engaged in an intense battle. Both sides had unleashed their killer moves, exchanging blows back and forth in a heated battle. Fist winds whistled, profound spirit chi rippled, bringing with it a destructive chi that intertwined with each other, creating a terrifying ripple. Suddenly, the 2-meter-tall being with a sturdy body suddenly opened his eyes and stamped his foot on the ground. Bang! A circle of chi rippled out, exploding in all directions with his feet as the center. Dong, dong, dong. The ground trembled continuously. The white floor of Wushuangju Peak was shattered by this move. The chi rippled out, causing the spectators to scatter. A few of the weaker disciples fell to the ground, battered and exhausted. The disciple of the Su family who was fighting with the sturdy man did not have time to defend. He was struck by the chi ripple. His entire body trembled uncontrollably, as if there was a force bouncing on his body. Good chance. The sturdy man's eyes tightened. Both of his fists came out. He consecutively released 13 vigorous and powerful attacks. Every single attack landed on his body. Every punch landed on his flesh and bones. Bang, 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 bang. The disciple of the Su family flew out like a kite with its string cut. He flipped out of the crowd and fiercely landed on the ground. The true divine spirit chi in his chest did not dissipate. He spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. His eyes closed, and he fainted. Seeing that, the Su family's face changed. All of them sucked in a breath of cold air. Defeated. Even Master Ku lost. Master Ku is one of the top experts in the main house. He is at the peak of the 6th stage of the Spirit Core Disciple. But he is still not this guy's opponent. What do we do now? What do we do now? The disciples of the Su family were confused. 2 ladies of the Su family hurriedly ran over and helped Su Ku up. They brought him to the healing array to recover. The rest of them turned around and looked at the people of Stellar Sun Mountain. Su Ku lost. Who else could fight? As for Su Shuichang, he was already knocked out by the man and was dragged to the side for treatment. The sturdy man looked at the disciples of the Su family who had fear in their eyes. His lips curled into a disdainful smile. Hee, Su family? Undeserved reputation. You don't even have anyone who can fight. With your strength, do you think you can join the meeting of heroes? Hurry up and go home to drink your milk. Ha! The people of Stellar Sun Mountain laughed. Their faces were full of disdain. The Su family were all furious. Su Dongfang clenched his fists tightly. He was about to step forward to fight, but was stopped by Qing Er. Master Dongfang. Qing Er called out. Qing Er, do you still want to endure? Su Dongfang gritted his teeth. Master Dongfang, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Qing Er whispered. Master Baishan and Master Heishui have not made a move. We can't make a move either. Although the people of Stellar Sun Mountain are here, the person in front of us is not their real expert. You are the seated contestant of our Su family. If you fight with him, the contestants from the other sex will take the chance to analyze our Su family's techniques. When the time comes for us to fight, our techniques will be seen through by the opponent. It will be hard for us to get a good ranking. Why do we care about the ranking? Su Dongfang turned his head and looked at the few people sitting in the Su family's array. A trace of ruthlessness flashed past his face. This time, he did not listen to Qing Er and wanted to go over. Qing Er saw this, and her heart was bitter. Su Dongfang was the son of the great clan elder. If he were to be injured before the competition, Qing Er would be the one to bear the blame. If Su Dongfang exposed the Su family's attack pattern, the Su family would not be able to get a good ranking, and she would be punished by the patriarch. After thinking about it, Qing Er sighed tiredly and did not say anything else. Su Dongfang pushed the crowd and walked in with a face full of anger. He stepped into the circle and stood in front of the sturdy man. The sturdy man raised his eyebrows and sized up Su Dongfang. He nodded his head. Your strength is not bad. But if you want to defeat me, you are still lacking. Don't you have someone stronger in the Su family? Don't talk nonsense. Su Dongfang said angrily. Don't think that the Su family has no one. Today, I will let you see the power of the Su family. With that, Su Dongfang rushed forward and did not even greet him. It seemed like he was really angry. Su Dongfang immediately took out his magical weapon. An aqua blue folding fan flew up, and with a few finger gestures, a large number of wind blades appeared around his body. Good Su family. You even took out your treasure? Good, good, good. Do you really think the people of Stellar Sun Mountain have good tempers? Humph. Today I will teach you how to die. The burly man roared. He reached into his storage ring and took out a huge gray hammer with a long handle. The sturdy man raised both of his hands, and the huge hammer came crashing down. It was almost time. It was almost noon. Su Yun looked at the sky and nodded to the second clan elder who was sitting in the carriage. The second clan elder understood. He lowered the curtain and said, "Let's go." "Yes, let's go," the person in charge at the side shouted. The group began to move forward slowly. Su Yun rode on the single-horned bull and walked in front of the second clan elder's carriage. The group slowly drove out of Wushuang City and headed towards the Wushuang-ju Peak. Report. Just as the group left the city, there was an urgent sound coming from the back. The group stopped. The second clan elder used his left hand to lift the curtain. He stuck his head out of the window and looked behind. He saw a disciple of the Su family riding on a purple horned beast. "It's the family's messenger," a guard from the main house said. "Is there a letter from the main house?" The second clan elder looked towards Su Yun, only to see that Su Yun had already ridden his mount towards the messenger. "The patriarch has sent an order for the second clan elder to take a look." The messenger shouted and took out a letter from his storage ring. "Pass the letter to the Su family's disciple, Su Yun," the second clan elder said and lowered the curtain. When the messenger heard this, he was a little surprised. Su Yun was already in front of him. Although he was confused, how could he dare to disobey the orders of the clan elder? He could only hand over the letter that was sealed with profound spirit chi to Su Yun. Su Yun waved his hand to remove the enchantment on the letter and opened it. The great clan elder was about to reach Wushuang City. When he saw the contents of the letter, Su Yun's heart jumped. "Su Yun, what happened? Quickly hand over the envelope to me for a look." The second clan elder lifted the curtain and said politely, "Oh, I heard that this time the Congregative Treasure sect will have 2 rare treasures. After the patriarch found out, he sent the great clan elder over. He hopes that we can get a good ranking and fight for the 2 treasures. The great clan elder left a few days ago. I think he will reach Wushuang City soon." Su Yun said and handed the letter over. His heart was heavy. It was not easy to control everything. He did not expect that the great clan elder would appear out of nowhere. What? The great clan elder is coming? When the second clan elder heard, he was overjoyed. "Yes." Su Yun smiled at him, his eyes becoming long and narrow. The second clan elder's body trembled. His face turned pale. He quickly laughed and did not say anything. Su Yun retracted his gaze and thought for a moment. Then he said, "Second clan elder, let's follow the great clan elder's request and wait for him to arrive. When he arrives, we will go up the mountain together." "Oh, okay, let's do that." The second clan elder nodded and immediately let Su Long give the order. The surrounding main house guards all had a look of doubt in their eyes. They did not receive the second clan elder's order to kill Su Yun, so they did not know the reason. But even so, it should not be like this. Su Yun was an outer sect disciple. When did he have such a good relationship with the second clan elder and the inner sect steward? Chapter 144. Half a day later, a horn sounded. Following that, a luxurious carriage entered Wushuang City. On both sides of the carriage stood almighty experts with treasures on their bodies. Their steps were steady, all of them solemn, looking straight ahead, walking at the same pace as the carriage. And the ones pulling the carriage were the rarely seen first-stage spirit-soul disciple, the 7 Qilin beasts. 7 Qilin beasts. First-stage spirit-soul disciple, scarlet scales and single horn, with a body like a lion, strong fighting ability, proficient in many mystical techniques, astonishing physical strength, astonishing endurance, and extremely powerful destructive methods. Their loyalty was extremely high. Once they were subdued, they would only recognize the owner as their master, never betraying, until death. And to be able to subdue the 7 Chilean beasts, they were mostly almighty experts. Once the 7 Chilean beasts entered Wu Shuang City, it attracted the attention of the people in the city. On the carriage, there was a large Su engraved cage, matched with the powerful spirit beasts. It was very impressive. A few almighty experts from the sects walked over with their followers and greeted the people on the carriage. The people on the carriage gave face, opened the curtains, and greeted them. When the people realized the identity of the owner of the carriage, they were all surprised. I never thought that the Su family would actually send their second in command. A group of people looked at the carriage that was gradually getting further away and exclaimed, "This is nothing. All the sect have sent their important people. Do you think it is just the Su family? Let me tell you, the Immortal Sword sect has sent 2 clan elders." "What? 2 clan elders?" The man was shocked. Is this year's meeting of heroes worth the attention of all the sects? In the past years, we have never seen so many important people gathering. You don't know. This year's meeting of heroes is different from the past. It is said that this year the Congregate of Treasure sect will bring out 2 incredible treasures as rewards for this year's meeting of heroes, to encourage the Tao, to reward the top sects of the meeting of heroes. That is why all the sects are paying attention. What? Congregate of Treasures, sects treasures? Quickly tell me, what treasures are they? Quickly tell me. Sigh. How would I know? The Congregate of Treasure sect is so mysterious. Who knows what new treasures they have? The last time they brought out 2 treasures that could increase the cultivation speed of spirit cultivators. At that time, several people from the big sects fought over these 2 treasures until their heads bled. I heard that some people even lost their lives. I wonder what the Congregate of Treasure sect is up to this time. That's strange. This Congregate of Treasure sect has so many treasures, but why do they have to give them out? Why do they provide treasures as rewards for this meeting of heroes? What's their purpose? Who knows? According to the Congregate of Treasure sect leader, the sect's founding ancestor had made an agreement with someone. The contents of the agreement were not clear, but the people from the Congregate of Treasure sect had to follow the agreement, and the prizes for the meeting of heroes was also decided by the agreement. In truth, the meeting of heroes was also organized by the Congregate of Treasure sect. I see. I can't be bothered to talk to you. All the elders from the various sects have already entered the city. I reckon that the meeting of heroes is about to start. I cannot miss this once every 3 years event. I'll take my leave first. I'm going to Wushuangju Peak. Hey, fellow cultivator, wait for me. In front of Wushuang City. Su Shilong and Su Tai got down from the carriage and bowed towards the approaching carriage. "Greetings, Grand Elder." And a low voice came out from the carriage. A guard at the side hurriedly lifted the curtain of the carriage, and a solemn-looking old man with a beard that reached his waist walked out. Alighting from the carriage, the old man's gaze turned. Looking at Su Tai, whose face was slightly pale, a trace of suspicion flashed past his eyes, and he asked, "Su Tai, have you completed the task that I asked you to do?" Hearing that, Su Tai hurriedly replied, reporting to Grand Elder, "That person is extremely cunning. On the way, he actually changed to a single horn bull. I was unable to increase the distance between us. There was really no chance. I could only give up and look for another opportunity." Hearing that, the Grand Elder frowned. "Then where is he?" "He went to Wushuangju Peak." The second clan elder hurriedly replied, "Truly a useless rice bucket." The Grand Elder snorted. "He can't even handle such a small matter. How can he be entrusted with more important tasks in the future?" "Su Tai knows his mistake," Su Tai said anxiously. The Grand Elder did not speak anymore, looked at him coldly, turned and entered the carriage, waving his hand. "Let's go to Wushuangju Peak to participate in the meeting of heroes." "Yes, sir." At the waist of the mystical mountain peak, a man and a bull were galloping on the mountain road, causing a large amount of dust to fly up. Su Yun held the reins tightly, riding the single horn bull towards the peak of the mountain. He thought about it, and felt that it was better to leave early The Grand Elder's strength was unfathomable. He could not meet him face to face, and if the Grand Elder saw him with the second clan elder, he would definitely be suspicious. And at that time, he would have to abandon the two chess pieces, Su Long and the second clan elder. Actually, Su Yun could directly let the second clan elder inform the Grand Elder that he had already been dealt with, then hide and secretly control the second clan elder. But if that was the case, many inconvenient things would not be completed, and the time to leave the Su family would be delayed. To Su Yun, who was anxious to leave the Su family, this was not a good choice. Although he would still have to face the Grand Elder's secret attacks, these days would not last long. After the meeting of heroes, he could leave. With the sprite's shadow in his hands, the heavenly crystal recovered, and he already had a place to stay. What else did he need to prepare? Suyin took a deep breath. He did not know why, but he felt extremely comfortable. After so many years of dreams, was it finally going to come true? Senior, Suyin shouted. What's wrong, kid? The Sword Elder's hoarse voice came out. He had been training for the past few days, and the spirit energy in his body had become denser and denser. Compared to before, the Sword Elder was much stronger. Where is the Limitless Sword Sect? Suyin suddenly asked. Limitless Sword Sect? The Sword Elder was startled and said, Why are you asking this? After I bring Qing Heir away from the Su family, I will definitely be chased by the Profound Sky Sect and the Su family. I have already found a place to hide, Blossom Heart Valley, Mu Family, Purple Star Academy, and so on. But these are all places of trouble, and I can only stay for a long time. I want to choose a quiet place. The Limitless Sword Sect has been in the Sky Martial Continent for so long, but I have never heard of it. I think it must be a paradise. I will ask around and find out where it is. Then I will bring Qing Heir to live in seclusion in the Sword Sect. Live in seclusion in the Sword Sect. The Sword Elder was startled. You want to live in seclusion? Then why are you training so hard? Bring Qing Heir away. Su Yun said lightly. Bring Qing Heir away? The Sword Elder did not understand. Can't you just sneak away? It's not that simple. Su Yun shook his head. Qing Heir is a gift from the Su family to the Profound Sky Sect. She is always under surveillance. In fact, I suspect that every time Qing Heir comes to see me, the patriarch of the Su family knows. If I secretly bring her away, I will definitely be intercepted by the Su family, and it will be very dangerous. Oh, then, what do you think? If you don't do it sneakily, are you going to do it openly? The Sword Elder asked. Su Yun laughed, but did not say anything. You're keeping me in suspense again. The Sword Elder sighed and said, The Limitless Sword Sect is on the Sacred Sky Mountain. It has already been so long, I wonder who else knows about this mountain. Sacred Sky Mountain? Never heard of it. At that time, very few people had heard of this mountain. It was a desolate mountain without a name. The name was given by the people of my sword sect. It is a natural treasure mountain for sword cultivators. The mountain is shaped like a sword and has a myriad of auras. Kid, if you have the chance, you must go and take a look. I want to know if the Limitless Sword Sect still exists. Sacred Sky Mountain. I will go. On Wushuang Ju Peak. Boom, boom, boom. Bursts of thunder-like sounds resonated through the entire peak. At the southern region of the peak. At this moment, the disciples of the various sects were all gathered together. It was bustling with activity. Close to 1,000 people formed a circle and surrounded the people fighting. On one side, it was the son of the great clan elder of the Su family, Su Dongfang. On the other side, it was the expert from the Stellar Sun Mountain, Chun Man Hu. Su Dongfang held onto his fan. His body was agile and vigorous. Chun Man Hu wielded his sledgehammer with both of his hands. The sledgehammer created a gust of wind. The two of them fought back and forth. Mystical techniques were unleashed one after another. The huge circle was filled with their profound spirit chi. No one dared to go near, afraid of being affected by the two of them. This kind of battle had already lasted for close to an hour. The two of them were evenly matched. Just that, Su Dongfang was exhausted. It seemed like he could not hold on any longer. His face was tired. His attacks were not as fierce as before. On the other hand, Chun Man Hu was getting more and more courageous. His sledgehammer was waving more and more ferociously. Dong! The sledgehammer flew over. It swept past the fan and suddenly hit Su Dongfang's chest. Su Dongfang spat out a mouthful of blood. He was ruthlessly smashed onto the ground. The ground cracked. Dust flew everywhere. He was completely defeated. Good. Senior man, good job. When the people from Stellar Sun Mountain saw that, they all cheered in joy. The Su family can't even withstand a single blow. You dare to exchange blows with our senior man who? Heh, you really overestimate yourself. Now you know how powerful we are. The people from Stellar Sun Mountain were getting more and more pleased. Chun Man, who kept his sledgehammer, he looked at Su Dongfang, who was lying on the ground with a face full of unwillingness. He laughed. Rascal, you're still too young. You want to fight with me with this little bit of strength? Hee, you really want to die. If I want to kill you, you won't be able to live. Chun Man, who snorted. He then carried the sledgehammer on his shoulder and waved his hand. Let's go. Go. Go, go. I have nothing to say to these trash. What a waste of time. Go. The people from Stellar Sun Mountain laughed and left. But Su Dongfang was still angry. He stared at Chun Man, who with his vicious eyes. His heart and brain felt like it was about to be melted by the fire. At the meeting of heroes that was held once every 3 years, in front of all the elite disciples of the Su family, in front of the person he liked, he was actually beaten to such a sorry state. He was humiliated by others. As the young master of the Su family, Su Dongfang's eyes were red. Young master, get up. 2 ladies from the Su family walked over. They wanted to help Su Dongfang up, but he waved his hand and shouted, Don't care about me. He suddenly stood up and stared at the people of Stellar Sun Mountain who were gradually leaving with their backs facing him. With a loud roar, he actually dashed forward. Qing'er saw that and panicked. Young master. But before she could react, Su Dongfang had already used the last of his strength to rush over. With a wave of his fan, a large number of wind blades flew towards Chun Man Hu. The fierce, swift wind spirit Qi carried an endless amount of anger. Chun Man Hu curiously turned his head to look. He saw a large number of profound spirit Qi forming wind blades flying towards him. He was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. He hurriedly jumped back, but he was slow. Poochie. His legs could not dodge in time. They were directly cut off by the wind blades. Chun Man Hu fell to the ground. Blood flowed everywhere. His 2 legs were in a pool of blood. It was terrifying. Chapter 145. Quiet. Unusually quiet. The current atmosphere, the scene, made it too quiet. Every disciple from every sect was dumbfounded as they stared blankly at the scene. They stared at the pool of blood on the ground. They stared at Chun Man, who was rolling in pain in the pool of blood. They stared at the stunned Su family members. They stared at the people from Stellar Sun Mountain who were gradually losing their rationality. They stared at the stunned Su Dongfang. Actually, Su Dongfang was considered a person who knew how to control himself. Steady, calm, and had some thoughts, or else he would not have tried to please his dead sister Su Yurong every day. He had his own goals, and he was shrewd. But today he lost control. Along the way, he tried to please Qing'er, but all he got was a lukewarm attitude. This made Su Dongfang's heart explode. And the incident with Chu Qiuyi from the 3 Items Deity Palace was the fuse. Now, being defeated by Chun Man Hu, being humiliated in front of everyone, was the spark that lit the fuse, causing the explosives in Su Dongfang's heart to explode. He lost control. No longer calm, no longer rational, no longer calm. At this moment, he completely exploded. My leg. My leg. Chun Man Hu screamed in pain, his face contorted, as though he was about to faint. Both of his legs were chopped off from his knees. Aleph *CK, you Su family bastards. The people of Sunstellar Mountain could not take it anymore. All of them were enraged and immediately took out their treasures and rushed forward, attacking the Su family. The scene became chaotic. Seeing that, Qing'er's delicate face tightened and shouted, Everyone retreat, gather in front of the array, and wait for the clan elder to come. Quick! At this time, the only thing they could do was to delay until the clan elder arrived. Su Dongfang's impulsiveness caused the relationship between Sun Stellar Mountain and the Sioux family to completely fall apart. The Sioux family was in the wrong, and the people of Sun Stellar Mountain would not let it go. If the Sioux family did not back down and fought with the people of Sun Stellar Mountain, in the end, both sides would suffer. Ching Air's face congealed and commanded the experts of the Sioux family to stand in front of the crowd and activate their mystical techniques to block the people of Sun Stellar Mountain. Don't hurt them. Everyone defend. Don't attack again. If you hurt anyone, the problem will be even bigger. Ching Air shouted with her clear and bright voice. Miss, what are you still talking about at a time like this? A main house disciple in front of him gritted his teeth and turned his head to shout at him. That's right. The people from Stellar Sun Mountain are already attacking us. Are we still going to tolerate them? Everyone, let's go together and fight it out with them. What are we afraid of? Su Dongfang regained his senses and shouted at the right time. Time to go all out. Everyone roared, and their fighting spirit rose. Ching Air was stunned. She looked at Su Dongfang with a complicated expression. Her eyes were filled with helplessness. Su Dongfang acted on impulse and cut off both of Chun Manhu's legs. He had already committed a mistake. But this time, not only did he not admit his mistake, he even encouraged the Sioux family to stand on the same side as him. He wanted to drag the Sioux family down with him. There were so many people from other sects watching from the side. How could they not tell who was right and who was wrong? In this way, the Sioux family would become the target of public criticism. Forget it, let him be, Ching Air sighed. She did not say anything else. She was after all a maid in the outer sect. Although she was a miss, how many people here treated her as a miss? On the contrary, Su Dongfang, as the son of the great clan elder, had an illustrious status. He was surrounded by a halo. Everyone here had already treated him as their leader. The scene was chaotic. The disciples in front were already fighting together. They were displaying their mystical techniques. The profound spirit chi collided. The scene was extremely explosive. The people from other sects all retreated. They did not interfere. There was no one to stop them. They just let them fight. Stop! Everyone stop! Just at this time, two shouts came one after another. But these words did not make the two groups of people stop. So. A few figures suddenly rushed into the crowd. A large amount of profound spirit chi spread out. Like a spider web, it separated every disciple. Then, the chi became thicker and longer. It was like a wall of chi. It dispersed everyone. What happened? Ching Air opened her eyes wide and looked at the strange scene in shock. It's the great clan elder of Stellar Sun Mountain and our Sioux family elder. A low but gentle voice sounded beside her ear. Ching Er was startled for a moment, but upon hearing the familiar voice, her heart surged with joy. She anxiously turned her head to look, and a familiar face entered her eyes. Young master, Ching Er said happily. Ching Er. Su Yun, who was dressed in a white blade master outfit, smiled gently and called out. Young master, you're finally here. Are you all right? Why is the spirit stallion so slow? Were you delayed on the road? Ching Er said. She secretly looked at Su Yun. She was afraid that he would be injured. She looked very concerned. Su Yun did not know how Ching Er felt about him. Love? Not really. Like? Not really. Maybe she just wanted to repay her parents for bringing her up. But without a doubt, in this world, he was the most important person to her. The chi dispersed. It forcefully separated the people from the two sections. The chaotic scene temporarily calmed down. Su Yun looked at the people who were walking over. There were also two groups of people. Each group had about 20 people. One of them was the great clan elder of the Su family, second clan elder Su Tai and Su Shilong. And the other group was the experts from Stellar Sun Mountain. There were about 30 of them. Every one of them had the back of a tiger and waist of a bear. They were not wearing leather armors. Their muscles were bulging. The true divine spirit chi around them was frightening. All these experts were at least 7th stage spirit core disciple. Their strength was astonishing. Their cultivation was high. And the elders in charge, other than second clan elder Sutai, who was weaker, the rest were all at least spirit soul disciple. The elder who came from Stellar Sun Mountain this time was a short old man who was not more than 5 meters tall. The old man was bald. He wore a loose gray robe. His body was skinny. Both his hands were behind his back. His old eyes were dim. He did not look like he had much weight. But when the old man walked over, the people around him all showed respect. No one dared to look down on him. I never thought that for this meeting of heroes, Stellar Sun Mountain would actually send him here. Suyin stared at the thin and weak old man and muttered, "Who is he?" Qing'er looked at her young master in confusion. The great clan elder of Stellar Sun Mountain, Xiao Chongshan. He is a peerless expert in Stellar Sun Mountain. Suyin said softly, "Rumor has it that his strength is so great that he can lift Mount Tai. No one can beat him in strength." So terrifying? Qing'er opened her mouth slightly. After a while, she blinked her eyes and said, "Young master, do you understand the people from Stellar Sun Mountain so well?" Hearing that, Suyin laughed. He did not explain. Instead, he said softly, "Qing'er, we can leave the Su family soon. Before that, let me ask you, are you willing to leave with me?" Leave the Su family? Qing'er's eyes were filled with confusion. "Young master, why do you want to leave the Su family? If you don't leave the Su family, are you willing to marry someone from the Profound Sky sect?" "Young master, those are just rumors." "Maybe not." Suyin shook his head. Qing'er looked at him quietly. After a while, her small face revealed a radiant smile. "Whether it is a rumor or not, as long as young master goes, Qing'er will follow. Since young master wants to leave the Su family, then let's go." Qing'er had had enough of the Su family long ago, but for Su Yun, she had no choice but to compromise and accept the adversity. At that time, Su Yun was practically useless. He did not care about anything and did not care about anything. Even though his family had fallen, he only wanted to be happy and free, to lead a befuddled life. But now it was different. Her young master had become stronger. His thoughts had become more meticulous. His actions had become more mysterious. He could see through everything. It was as if he knew everything. He was no longer drunk like before. He was no longer gambling all night. It was as if he had been reborn. If not for the fact that it was still her young master's face, Qing'er would not have believed that this person was Su Yun. She could not help but lean closer to Su Yun. She did not know why, but the current Su Yun gave her a sense of security that she had never felt before. She could not believe what she was seeing. Xiao Chongshan walked over. Seeing Chun Man who being punished by a few female disciples, a trace of anger flashed past his eyes. He took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring and passed it to the disciple beside him. The disciple beside him immediately ran towards Chun Man Hu. Then, Xiao Chongshan walked straight towards the Su family with a gloomy face. "Elder Xiao, long time no see." The great clan elder cupped his fists and bowed. "Elder Su, how have you been?" Xiao Chongshan snorted. Then, he said, "The meeting of heroes is a gathering of heroes. All the sects compete and learn from each other. Fists and legs have no eyes. Elder Su, if my disciple Chiman, who is not skilled enough and is defeated or even killed by your Su family, then we can only blame our Stellar Sun Mountain disciple for not being skilled enough. We will not have any complaints. But why is it that your Su family has already been defeated, yet you still sneak an attack? Why? Is this how the Su family does things? If that is the case, then I, Elder Xiao, will seek justice for my disciple. If you do not give me a satisfactory answer today, I will not let this matter rest." With that, Xiao Chongshan stomped his feet. Boom! It was as though the entire Wushuang Ju Peak was shaking. The imposing manner was terrifying and tyrannical. The people in charge of the nearby sects had already arrived, but they did not participate in this matter. Seeing Xiao Chongshan being so decisive, the great clan elder knew that this matter would not be easy to handle. He looked at Su Dongfang, who was standing in the crowd, and his brows sank again. The great clan elder pursed his dry lips, thought for a moment, and with a solemn face, he shouted, "Who is the person in charge of the Su family disciples?" His voice was extremely loud. Su Dongfang immediately squeezed out of the crowd. Qing'er looked at Su Yun and called out softly. Then, she walked towards the great clan elder. Su Yun frowned. Seeing the great clan elder's sullen face, he felt that something was wrong. Chapter 146. Qing'er, pays her respects to the great clan elder. Father. Su Dongfang and Qing Er stood in front of the great clan elder and bowed. The great clan elder looked at the two of them expressionlessly. His gaze swept across Su Dongfang and Qing Er a few times. Why did this happen? You have to give me an explanation. This. Su Dongfang's eyes were flustered. He lowered his head and remained silent. Qing Er did not speak. It was the best choice to remain silent. Almost everyone saw that it was all because of Su Dongfang's sneak attack. Why should she add oil to the fire? Seeing that the two of them did not speak, the great clan elder groaned. His voice was muffled. Qing Er, tell me, what exactly happened? Yes. Qing Er did not dare to be negligent. After clasping her hands, she used her crisp and clear voice to explain what had happened. The great clan elder frowned, and his face became uglier. Su Dongfang's face was pale. He lowered his head and did not speak. Just that. After he finished, the great clan elder's eyes did not stop on Su Dongfang. Instead, he stared at Qing Er. His eyes were filled with anger. Is it really like what you said? The great clan elder asked. The situation is basically true. Qing Er said. The great clan elder was silent. After a while, he said with anger, if that's the case, why didn't you stop Dongfang? Stop? Qing Er was obviously stunned. Was Su Dongfang someone she could stop? Dongfang was fighting with others. His blood was boiling. It's not hard to understand why he would do such an extreme thing. But why did you watch from the side and not stop him? As the leader of the Su family, how could you do such a thing? The great clan elder groaned. Dongfang must be punished for his crime. But Qing Er, your crime is heavier. As soon as he finished speaking, he cupped his fist toward Xiao Chongshan and said in a deep voice, Elder Xiao, my Su family will take responsibility for what happened today. Now, in front of you, I will punish my Su family's unruly disciple. After he finished, the great clan elder frowned. He stared at Qing Er and slapped her. Fuck! Su Yun was instantly enraged. This was impressively making Qing Er the scapegoat. Immediately, Su Yun could not hold it in any longer. He rushed forward and blocked in front of Qing Er. He pulled out the 1,000 deep sword and aimed it at the great clan elder's palm that was about to hit him. Pure divine spirit Qi was pushed to the limit. 1,000 Deep's entire sword was like a slender electric drill, sharp and cold. The great clan elder's face darkened. He retracted his palm, stared at Su Yun angrily and shouted, Su Yun, are you rebelling? Get lost. Rebellion? Su Yun's face was sinister. His eyes were hazy. Let's not talk about other things. Great clan elder, why did you touch Qing Er? What did she do wrong? What did I do wrong? Qing Er is the person in charge, but she was negligent and caused my Su family to commit such a mistake to the people of Stellar Sun Mountain and caused the relationship between the two sects to break. The consequences are severe, and all the responsibilities should be borne by Qing Er. Qing Er will bear the responsibility. What about your precious son? Su Yun became angrier. He felt his heart burning and looked at the great clan elder with eyes that were filled with anger that could not be extinguished. I will punish Dongfang too, but now I need to give an explanation to the people of Stellar Sun Mountain. The great clan elder said. After he said that, the surrounding people were unhappy. However, everyone knew that Su Dongfang was the great clan elder's son. Su Yurong was dead. Su Donghao was injured. Now that he only had Su Dongfang left, why would he blame him? But Su Yun did not expect the great clan elder to be so protective, and now he could not even scold or hit him. Give an explanation to the people of Stellar Sun Mountain. What does it have to do with Qing Er? The person who killed Qin Man, who is your precious son, Su Dongfang. Su Yun was burning with anger and immediately stabbed 1,000 deep in the ground and shouted, Great clan elder, what happens today? Su Yun do not care, but I want to tell you, if you want to touch her, you have to touch me first. His voice was tyrannical, without any hesitation. Hearing that, Qing Er was instantly intoxicated. Her eyes stared blankly at the tall figure in front of her, her heart beating wildly. So tyrannical, is this the disciple of the Su family? A real man, for his own woman, He even dares to challenge the great clan elder. What's his name? His woman is too blessed. He really doesn't know life from death. I wonder what will happen to him later. Anyway, he doesn't have long to live. The disciples of the other sects were discussing. Some were surprised, some were praising, some were regretting, and some were despising. There are all sorts of expressions. Rebel, rebel, rebel. He's really rebelling. The great clan elder's face was flushed red. His beard trembled. A pair of murderous eyes gradually rose. He gritted his teeth and said, "Good. Since you don't know life from death and challenge my authority, then I'll give you a quick death." The great clan elder was enraged. He did not care much, and immediately made his move. At this time, if he did not kill Su Yun, how could he stand? Furthermore, he originally wanted to kill Su Yun. At this time, he could conveniently get rid of the person who injured his son. "Come on, do you think I'm afraid of you?" Su Yun was completely enraged. The sprite's shadow and the heavenly crystal were ready. At most, he would just kill this old man and bring Qing Air away. Maybe it was a little rushed, and he could not prepare, but the situation was urgent. He could not care so much. "Wait, great clan elder. Please stop. If there's anything, we can slowly talk, slowly talk." Just at this moment, a figure suddenly scuttled out from the side and directly blocked in between the two of them. Upon seeing the person, it was actually the second clan elder Su Tai. Even Su Shilong anxiously ran over. "What are you guys doing? Get lost!" The great clan elder bellowed. Great clan elder, Miss Qing Air, is someone that the patriarch groomed. To participate in this meeting of heroes is also the patriarch's idea. That you can't hurt her. If not, it will be hard to explain to the patriarch, Su Tai said carefully. Hearing that, the great clan elder's face changed a few times and snorted. "Then how do you think we should settle this? Don't tell me I have to tolerate these two Su family disciples who dare to offend me?" Of course not. No matter if it's Su Yun or Qing Air, they are both guilty, but they are participants in this competition and represent our Su family. In a while, there will be an intense fight waiting for them. If they are injured now and unable to achieve good results in the fight, the patriarch will blame, and that will be troublesome. Why don't we wait until after the competition and return to the Su family? Then we will settle the score. How about that? Su Tai said it very tactfully, but everyone could tell what he meant. If the great clan elder punished the two now, the two of them would lose in the competition, and when they returned, they would blame the great clan elder in front of the patriarch, and it was him who caused the Su family to be unable to achieve good results in the competition, and the great clan elder would be at a disadvantage. As to why Su Tai stood up, the reason was naturally very simple. The great clan elder obviously wanted to kill Su Yun. If Su Yun died, then who could he ask for the antidote? After the great clan elder heard that, his face alternated between red and white, and he did not know how to end this. He waved his hand and said, "Since that's the case, then you settle this, and give an explanation to the cultivators of Stellar Sun Mountain." "Yes, great clan elder." Su Tai bowed and saluted, then walked towards Qiao Chongshan. "Clan elder Qiao, the matter of your disciple Qin Man who, the responsibility lies with my Su family, but young people like to fight and are hot-blooded. That is normal. Since the matter has come to this, there is no turning back, and the only thing we can do is to compensate. My Su family is willing to offer spirit medicine and personally treat Qin Man Hu, and even offer treasures to Stellar Sun Mountain. I hope that clan elder Qiao can be magnanimous and let this matter go. Su Tai hereby apologizes to clan elder Qiao." Finished, Su Tai bowed down. The other party had already apologized and spoke softly. Qiao Chongshan's face finally looked better. "I will not make things difficult for your Su family. Just treat Qin Man Hu like how he was before, and as for the apology, we, the Stellar Sun Mountain, are not greedy people. Just wait and see." Humph. With that, Qiao Chongshan flicked his sleeves, turned, and left with his disciples. The matter had finally come to an end, and the disciples of the Su family all heaved a sigh of relief. "Great clan elder, wasn't it better to settle this earlier?" "Idiot, can't you tell?" The great clan elder could not put down his pride. so he used Miss Ching Air as a scapegoat. But the second clan elder is different. He is sly. The way the two elders handle things is also different. And that's true, but come to think of it, Su Yun is too daring. Seems like when he returns to the Su family, he will suffer. He really doesn't know how to write the word death. The surrounding people started to talk softly. The great clan elder looked around coldly, and the Su family immediately shut their mouths. No one dared to make sound. Su Yun stared at the great clan elder for a while, then sat down with Ching Air in the big array, and could not be bothered with the great clan elder. We will leave after the meeting of heroes starts. Su Yun looked at Ching Air and said seriously. So fast. Ching Air was stunned. If not for something, I was even planning to bring you away now. Su Yun sighed and said indifferently, if you continue to stay in the Su family, the situation will only get worse. Ching Air, just deal with this competition. You don't have to be so serious. Ching Air nodded her head obediently and replied lightly. Dong, 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 dong. Just then, a burst of muffled thunder like drum sounds came from the horizon. Everyone turned to look and saw a vast and majestic scene appearing. In the distant horizon, a gigantic dragon boat was floating in the air, slowly heading over. The bottom of the dragon boat was supported by 9,981 divine arrays. The surface of the boat was full of bright gems and crystals. The entire boat looked like a colorful dragon, dazzling to the eyes. It's the Congregate of Treasures Sect's 9-colored dragon boat. The people from the Congregate of Treasures sect are here. Someone shouted. Congregate of Treasures sect? Su Yun looked up. If they were here, it would mean the competition had begun. Chapter 147. The Rainbow Dragon boat slowly sailed forward on both sides of the boat. 100 drummers beat the drums with all their might, the sound overflowing. Rows of flags were fluttering in the wind. On the flags, a big treasure character was printed with gold powder. At the front of the dragon boat, over 100 people dressed in jade-colored robes, with their hair in a bun, and glittering gold and silver magical treasures were standing in an orderly manner. In front of these people was a middle-aged man with white hair, sitting in a wheelchair. His legs did not move, as though he could not stand straight. One hand holding onto a feather fan, the other holding onto a cup of spirit tea. He laughed and looked over. The scene was majestic, grand, and magnificent. This was the Congregate of Treasures sect. Just the dragon boat itself was a priceless treasure. Every decoration on the boat, every array, was worth an unknown amount of money. The people of the Congregate of Treasures sect were a group of people who loved treasures. They did not seek cultivation, did not seek power, did not seek status. As for money, that was even more so, because they had a lot. The people of the Congregate of Treasures sect collected all the treasures in the world, causing people to drool over them. To avoid trouble, the Congregate of Treasures sect's headquarters was this huge dragon boat. It floated in the sky above Sky Marshall Continent, its whereabouts unknown other than today's gathering. No one would be able to find them. When the big boat neared, it covered the sun, casting a shadow over the entire Wushuang Peak. The boat neared. So. A large number of figures flew out from the dragon boat, directly flying towards the center of the Wushuang Peak, where the battle array was. The people of the Congregate of Treasures sect had arrived. Woo! At the same time, a melodious horn sounded out from the entrance of the peak. The horn sound was heavy, oppressive to the extreme, like the low roar of a dragon. Hearing that, many of the sect's people anxiously walked out from the array and looked towards the entrance of the peak. On the road leading to the peak, the gold light continued to flash, as though a deity had descended, causing many people to cry out in shock. Rows and rows of men and women dressed in gold-embroidered gowns entered the Wushuang Peak. All of them were handsome men and beautiful women. All of their chi was thick and vast, like the vast ocean, the boundless sky. They were dressed in noble attire, their entire bodies shining with gold light. Even the treasures they were wearing were gold in color. Every single one of them had a gold badge hanging on their waist. On the badge was a long golden dragon seal. In the middle of these people, there was a huge golden sedan chair. The sedan chair floated in the air, and a tall man in a golden robe with a dignified aura sat in it. This person's gaze was upright, his brows were solemn, and he emanated a dignified aura without being angry. His entire body emanated a noble and irresistible bearing, and he was overbearing to the extreme. The people of Long Ao Nation is here. Someone shouted loudly. Is that Long Ao Ian? What? The Prince of Long Ao Nation, Long Ao Tion? Why is he here? Long Ao Nation actually sent him here? The Long Ao Nation's overall strength in the southern continent is one of the best. I do not know how many times they have taken first place in a meeting of heroes. I did not expect that this time they would even send Long Ao Tion. Seems like they are determined to win. If that's the case, for us to take the first place, to take the Congregative Treasure's sex treasure, it will be difficult. Countless pairs of eyes looked at the dazzling, godlike team with complicated emotions. Everyone's heart was filled with helplessness. The power of Long Ao Nation, the strongest in the southern region, their authority was the highest. No one dared to stroke the tiger's whiskers. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just as the people of Long Ao Nation entered the arena, a large number of figures appeared in the sky. A group of people dressed in Dao robes, carrying Dao swords on their backs, looking plain and simple. Swallowing Heaven's sect. The Swallowing Heavens sect that is not weaker than Long Ao Nation. They are here too. This is their famous consummate technique, soaring 10,000 miles, right? Soaring in the sky, one step 10,000 miles. That's right. Don't think that the Swallowing Heavens sect people are all Taoists. They're the biggest competitors of Long Ao Nation. In the previous competitions, the three strongest powerhouses were Long Ao Nation, Swallowing Heaven's sect, and Profound Sky sect, and the ones that had the hope of entering the top three were the Immortal Sword sect and Exuding Fire sect. But the Immortal Sword sect had always lost to the Swallowing Heaven's sect. I wonder if they will be able to wipe away their previous humiliation this time. An elder of a small sect spoke to his own sect's disciples. The disciples all nodded their heads in surprise. It was their first time participating in the competition, so everyone was extremely interested. Wipe away our previous humiliation? How difficult is that? The Immortal Sword sect wants to take the first place in the meeting of heroes today. Great family name. A confident shout resonated from the horizon, causing everyone's heart to tremble. They all looked up, only to see a few rainbows flying over from the horizon. A few ladies dressed in Blade Master clothes, stepping on their swords, flew over. They looked confident and graceful, causing everyone's eyes to light up. The one leading was the great clan elder of the Immortal Sword sect. She looked to be around 40 to 50 years old, but her actual age was obviously much older. Dressed in a green robe, she looked very serious. There was a red sand mark in between her eyebrows. The chi around her body was constantly revolving. Beside her were two beauties, one big and one small. Everyone's gaze turned to the left. It was a young and beautiful lady. Her expression was solemn, but her autumn eyes reflected an unconcealable passion. She stood on her sword in the air, looking down at everyone on Wu Shuangju Peak, the fighting intent in her eyes getting denser and denser. And beside this beautiful lady was an even more beautiful lady. She was dressed in a pure white gauze. Her hair was like ink, gently floating in the wind. Her face was exquisite. Her facial features were beautiful. Her skin was like snow. Her figure was exquisite and graceful. She was like a fairy descending to the mortal world, attracting everyone's eyes. They were unable to move away. Her expression was indifferent. Her gem-like eyes lightly gazed at the crowd. Her pure white neck moved slightly, as if she was looking for something. Finally, the fairy's gaze fell on a white-robed figure at the very back of the crowd. Her captivating red, thin lips moved slightly, and then she quickly shifted her gaze away. Her gaze lowered, no longer looking at anyone. Third clan elder, what's wrong? Bai Yinshan, who was at the side, asked curiously. Nothing, Long Xianli said indifferently. The few of them landed in the resting area of the Immortal Sword sect and sat down. But even so, the surrounding was still very quiet. Hong, who had a serious expression, looked around. She realized that all the men from the other sects were staring at her in a daze. Most of their eyes were locked onto Long Xianli. She snorted and immediately dispersed her qi. Everyone's body turned cold, quivered, and anxiously regained their senses and retracted their gaze. Hee. The disciples of the Immortal Sword sect all chuckled. It was not their first time seeing Clan Elder Long, so it was all right, even though every time they looked at her, they would be captivated and their souls would be taken away. This situation, Long Xianli was already used to it and did not find it strange. She landed on her own seat, slightly closed her eyes, lightly circulated her qi, and did not care about her surroundings, as though she was cut off from the world. Seeing that the lady was cold, everyone's gaze landed on the young lady dressed in the light yellow Blade Master cloth. One big and one small, both beautiful women, each with their own charm. It had to be said that the quality of the beauties of the Immortal Sword sect far surpassed the other sections. The Profound Sky sect is here. Just as everyone's gaze was snatched away by the two clan elders of the Immortal Sword sect, a voice rang out in the entire Wushuangju Peak. Su Yun, who was standing at the back of the Su family, heard it. His heart suddenly jumped. A trace of hostility flashed past his eyes. He raised his head and looked towards the entrance of the mountain peak. At the entrance of the mountain peak, 30 figures walked in. All of them were dressed in black, with white patterns on their clothes. All of them had indifferent expressions. Their qi was restrained, and no one could tell how deep they were. They did not have the ostentatiousness of the Congregate of Treasures sect, the tyranny of the Long Ao nation, the elegance of the Swallowing Heavens sect, the fierceness of the Immortal Sword sect. What they had was a simple word: confidence. That's right. The Profound Sky sect only had 30 people. Even if it was a small sect, they would not send so few people, but they only had so few people. That was enough to show that the Profound Sky sect had confidence in their own strength. In their eyes, these people were enough to handle the meeting of heroes that happened once every 3 years. The Profound Sky sect's people chose a place to rest. They did not send any disciples previously, but it was not too late. One of them took out an unknown treasure, placed it on the ground, and a large array was formed. Su Yun's gaze swept across the Profound Sky sect's people. Tianxi, 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 not here. This time, they only sent a heaven's jealousy who does not have any power. Su Yun's eyes drifted, his mind muttering to himself. Young master, what's wrong? Qing'er, who was at the side, turned her adorable head and looked at Su Yun's face in confusion. Oh, nothing. The strongest few sect had arrived, and the Congregate of Treasures sect had arrived, which meant that the meeting had begun. After everyone was seated, the sect leader of the Congregate of Treasures sect, who was seated on the wheelchair, immediately extended his hand toward a golden storage ring on his finger. The storage ring released a circle of light aura, enveloping both of his hands, and with a wave of his hands, 2 lumps of smooth jade light shot out from his palms. The light aura rose into the sky, floating above the battle array. The Congregate of Treasures sect leader quickly clasped his hands together, quickly forming hand seals, releasing 2 qi arrays, sealing the 2 lumps of jade light in midair. Then he opened his mouth. Everyone, once every 3 years, the unparalleled summit, the meeting of heroes to determine the winner. Today is the Southern Continent's grandest meeting of heroes. Today is also the gathering of the Southern Continent's various sects. I am the God Treasure King, representing the Congregate of Treasures sect to present 2 of my sect's treasures as the reward for the winner of the duel. Whichever sect is able to obtain first or second place, these 2 treasures will belong to that sect. The God Treasure King smiled and said, "Let me introduce. These 2 treasures are top grade treasures, close to the Yang grade. They're all rare treasures. Close to the Yang grade treasures." The surrounding sects were in an uproar, boiling with excitement. Although they guessed that these 2 treasures were powerful, but no one expected that these 2 treasures would be of such a high grade. The treasure on the left is called Stellar Transposition, and it's used to pay someone back in their own coin. It's the life-bound magic treasure of the deity Saint Venerable Star South. It can easily absorb the attack of any existence and seal that existence's attack into the treasure. After activating this treasure, it can release the previously sealed attack and return all of it to the attacker. Perhaps this isn't all that impressive, but everyone, don't be anxious. It has an even more powerful aspect, and that is its photographic memory. As long as one wears this treasure, they can receive the divine star's power inside the treasure to cleanse their eyes, causing their eyesight to improve and have photographic memory. Regardless of whether it is training mystical techniques or setting up arrays to concoct pills, it is of great help. Photographic memory? Giving someone a taste of their own medicine? With that said, the surrounding people exploded into discussions. All sorts of exclamations, envy, and longing voices flew out. Without a doubt, this was indeed a powerful treasure. With this item, even if one met an expert stronger than himself, he would still have the strength to fight. The God Treasure King laughed as he looked at the astonishment in everyone's eyes. A trace of happiness surfaced on his face, and he shouted loudly again. This Big Dipper, shifting stars, is merely the reward for the second-place hero. Everyone do not be in a rush to be amazed. Look at the first treasure. The God Treasure King waved his hand. The treasure floating in the air trembled twice and flew out. It was a strange crystal that was flickering with rainbow light. It was roughly the size of an eyeball. Under the light, it was extremely beautiful. Extremely beautiful. What is this? I can't feel any chi. I wonder what grade it is. I heard from my sect leader. One of these two treasures is a divine object and must be obtained. Perhaps it's this item. Everyone from the sects were whispering to each other. The God Treasure King opened his mouth again. This treasure is called Monarch Occult Force. It is an amplification treasure. Its function is not complicated. As long as it is embedded in the heart, it will allow the wearer's profound spirit chi to carry the 5 main attributes of power: gold, wood, water, fire, earth. That also means, by wearing it, one can use true divine spirit chi, scarlet star spirit chi, frigid aqua spirit chi, swift wind spirit chi, and spirit life chi at the same time, possessing the power of the 5 elements. With that said, the entire place was silent. It was so quiet that it was scary, as if a needle dropping would be like a bell ringing. Everyone was stunned. Forget about the disciples. Even the clan elders were startled. It was as though at that moment, no one could control their state of mind. Get it. You must get it. Su Yun, if you can get it. In the future, you will be unparalleled. Get it. You must get it. In the next moment, the Sword Elder's hysterical roar came out from the limitless sword manual, waking Su Yun up. Su Yun gazed into the sky, looking at the resplendent gem. His lips muttered, "Monarch Occult Force, all right." Seeing that everyone was still in shock, the God Treasure King was too lazy to speak anymore. He waved his hand, and the Monarch Occult Force automatically flew back to its original position. Then he heard the God Treasure King shout, "The meeting of heroes will now begin. All the sects please take turns to challenge. I will appraise it myself and decide the name. The weak are prey to the strong. The winner is the king. Whoever laughs last, the treasure will belong to that person." These words were like a hammer to the head, hitting everyone awake. At that moment, everyone's eyes were filled with a fighting spirit that could not be extinguished. One of the experts from the sects did not speak any nonsense, and immediately leapt into the middle of the battle array, cupped his fists, and said, "Colored Rock Sect's head disciple, Zhongban Bao, is here to seek guidance from all the seniors. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.